You're listening to the Knives Templars. I need to get a haircut, and Chris is making me think, man, I need a haircut. We have the same haircut, just so you know. You're a little...
Mine has less gray.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, my head's not bad. It's my chin is gray. But you realize, you know what that gray means? I'm stressed.
You're old.
Yeah,
I'm old. Yeah. No.
Means your kids are fully grown.
Yeah, you earn your gray. You earn your gray, that's for sure. Anyway, hey guys.
I'll never earn my gray.
Yeah, you will. Yeah, you will. Unless you manscape. Is there anything you want to tell us? Do you manscape?
He's earned it. We just don't know where it is.
I have a few right here. Coming up.
Well, here we are, week 7th episode of the Knives Templars, and we've got all 5 amigos here this week. We've got Chris and Odisir and Joey and Eric Rivers, along with Chip Carlisle, and we are ready to talk because we got a lot of stuff we've been doing. How you doing, guys?
Hey, what's up, Chip?
Awesome.
Man, I tell you what,
great.
I've got so much stuff to talk about today. I don't know if we'll get it all in, and so I'm going to shut up and just add my stuff a little bit here or there because I see you guys have all had equally exciting weeks. I've seen knives rolling out of the shops and awards and just everything going. So, I don't know. Let's start it off like we always do. Chris, what have you been up to the last couple of weeks?
Oh, man. Well, I had that knife show in Belleville, the Texas Select Custom Cutlery event a couple weeks ago. Got there on Friday evening and had my Damascus, my Damasteel chef knife that I was wanting to get into the kitchen cutlery category, and got there, and my buddy Adam's looking at the table. My buddy's been telling me for 2 years. He's my biggest fan. He's like, your stuff's great. And we get there, and he looks at the table, the different categories, and he goes, you got a knife that'll win that competition. And it was the tactical. And so he convinced me to enter 4 different competitions, and so I entered tactical. And then they did all the judging, and it was judged by peers. So anybody that had a table got to come up and vote. And it's funny, I was talking to another maker, and they came over loudspeaker, and they're like, hey, makers, come pick up your knives. And so Adam goes up there, he sees the tactical knife on the table, but he reaches over to grab one of the other knives. And when he turns back, he's like, it's gone. And he ends up coming over, he's like, dude, your knife is gone. Like, I have no idea where it is. And he goes, that guy was the last guy at the table. And he points over, and it's Chad Jones. It's a guy I know, another maker. And I was like, no, Chad doesn't have my knife. And he's like, I don't know. He was the last person I saw at that table. Maybe he grabbed it by accident. I was like, you don't grab somebody else's knife by accident. I go chase Chad down. And I was like, hey, I know this sounds weird. I was like, did you see my knife on the table? No. I was like, well, I don't know where it is. It was there and it's gone. And he just laughs and taps me on the shoulder, and he goes, dude, I think that means you won. He goes, go check the table in the back. And so we go up there, and sure enough, it's on the winner's table next to this really cool, listeners won't be able to see it, but this really cool brass metal, weighs quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, they can see it on our Knives Templar page, though. You've got it there.
Yeah, you can go see a picture of it, or on my site, I posted a picture of it. But I was just I was in shock, right? Like the fact that happened, I wasn't even planning on entering, and then I won, and I also submitted three knives that night.
One question
to the Texas.
One question.
Yeah.
I know that you do a lot of work for the BPS Foundation, and you also are a sufferer of BPS. Was that one of those BPS moments?
BPS? What are you talking about?
Butt pucker syndrome?
Butt pucker. Yeah, butt pucker. Yeah, it was one of those butt pucker syndrome moments. Although you have the guy that won best dagger and best overall. It was J.W. Randall out of Louisiana.
Keithville, yeah.
Awesome maker. I mean, the guy makes some just amazing Damascus. And he called it his heartburn knife. He said that's what he ended up, it'd give him heartburn anytime he went to go work on it. So, but no, I had that happen, and then I submitted 3 knives to the Texas Knife Makers Guild for inspection by board members. and they came back, and each of them graded my knives and gave me some great feedback. And you have to take that feedback humbly and then go learn from it and try not to make those mistakes again. But after that night, everybody's been telling me for a while, like, hey, you belong in this community. You're a good maker. But I'm like, I've only been doing this 3 years. Some of these guys have been doing a lot longer. And I felt like I had imposter syndrome sometimes.
Well, how did that kitchen knife do that you made? Or chef's knife, excuse me, not kitchen knife.
It lost to a pizza cutter.
I saw the pizza cutter. It was beautiful, but
Yeah. Ethan Lee, also out of Louisiana, had a Damascus pizza cutter that was just gorgeous. And I said a month ago I was going to lose to this thing. But it was really cool. I met Davey Wilson from Jehu Knives, and he told me, he said, when he came over and he saw that knife on my table, he was like, oh, that was yours? He goes, I voted for that knife. He goes, even though I had my own knife in that same category. He goes, your knife was next to mine. He goes, I couldn't even vote for mine. I had to look at that. And he's like, I had to vote for yours. So it was very, humbling and rewarding. And yeah, it's so, people have been telling me for 2 years that I belong, but it wasn't until that night that I really felt like, yeah, I was part of that community. So
now Sarah,
it was great.
Was Sarah
had a good show too.
Was Sarah at the show from Sikowski Scales?
Yeah, Sarah was at the show. The way they had it set up was there was an indoor and an outdoor.
I saw that. Yeah.
And I was in the indoor. She was in the outdoor, where it was basically the rodeo arena, the livestock arena there for the county. And so big roof, and they had guys doing forging demonstrations and lots of smoke. And it was hot and it was dusty. And she's like, I made a mistake. I should have been inside. But she wanted more table space. So her and I have decided that when we go to shows in the future, and we're both going to one in Louisiana in September, that I'm going to go ahead and call Joey out that he needs to go to that one, put that out publicly. So we all pressure him into going because it's right there in his backyard. But we've already decided that when we go to these shows in the future, we're setting up tables right next to each other.
Well, they got
because
to see,
then we can watch each other's tables.
She got to see your skills, though, on those knives, especially the one where you won. So that was wonderful for her.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And then I had another knife that had some beautiful scales that I messed up that were some of her favorite scales she ever made. And so I handed it to her, and I go, here, I can't really sell this because there's a D-lam in the blade. And I was like, so it's yours. And her first words back, when you guys meet Sarah, you'll understand. Her first words back was, I can't believe you messed this up. Not, I love the knife, thank you. She loves the knife, but her first response was, I cannot believe you messed this knife up.
Have you tried to fix the delamination with some Pinto sauce? Because I hear that that stuff works on everything.
Oh, yeah. That's like Frank's Red Hot.
That ain't going to work, man.
I put that stuff on everything.
I'll put it.
No, it was...
I had to catch myself there for a minute.
We were all thinking it.
It was a good show. I made some good sales, got a couple custom orders. I think I sent you guys pictures of one. Some guy went over to Sarah's table and saw these coyote jawbones that were in a glow-in-the-dark resin, and asked her, he's like, can you make a knife? And she's like, no, I don't make knives anymore. She goes, but here, let me walk you over to my friend who does. So the guy ordered a knife. He's going to have some glow-in-the-dark coyote jawbone handle. That'll be pretty cool. And then came back Monday and got a call on Monday, and somebody asked me, hey, is that Damasteel knife still available? Yes, it is. And so they bought it that morning. So
that's awesome.
It was a good week.
Now,
it was a really good week.
The Damasteel you're talking about, the chef knife.
Congratulations, man.
The chef knife, yeah, the Damasteel
Where
chef
did it
knife.
go? Where did it go, if you don't mind me asking? I mean, just to location in the world.
Oh, it went to Kerrville, Texas. So,
Cool.
Out past San Antonio and Austin and whatnot. So went to it's a family member. It's a cousin and who's bought some of my knives before. And yeah, he's like, I've been wanting a really good chef knife. And he goes, man, if I can get one that you made that looks like that, he goes, nobody's ever topping this one.
Absolutely.
That is that. I will say that even over your tactical knife that won, and that was a beautiful knife. That chef knife was probably one of the most beautiful knives I've ever seen, and I don't mind saying that publicly. It was just a gorgeous blade.
Thank you.
Sarah did such a good job, and you puckered right through the grind and got it all.
I ground that thing so thin that I actually sliced a tomato before I put an edge on it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty thin.
Wow.
That is pretty thin.
It's very thin. I told him, I said, please just make sure you're using a good cutting board. Like, there's no such thing as a glass cutting board. That's a pastry board. Don't cut it on your granite countertops, please. Like, get a good wood cutting board or a heavy duty plastic one and take care of this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but will he be able to whack wood with it? What do you call that? I wanted to use the word.
A baton?
Wood with it?
I really hope he doesn't baton with it.
Oh man, that would be horrible.
Chef knives in general typically don't have the geometry, nor they're typically higher on the Rockwell hardness scale. So there would probably be some chipping and breaking. And
Oof.
but
What a wonderful time. And Disney was good? Disney was good?
Disney was great. It got to see my son march in the parade with his marching band right down
Our kids
Main
do
Street
that.
past the castle.
Yeah.
That was really cool. So, and then came back and got back to work and already got some knives ready to crank out. I working on my first dagger. So mad props to, Eric and, like Matt Rich and all these guys on TRE Workshop that are making these daggers for the viewer challenge. I've never made a dagger before. I don't think I'm going to make any more for a while. It's frustrating, but I got it. And oddly enough, I'm making this dagger. It's a boot knife, and I'm making it for my daughter's 14th birthday.
Sweet. Well, she's going to
That's
start
what
dating.
she wanted.
She's going to start dating
That's
at 16,
awesome.
so you've got to,
And she's a crack shot too. I pity the boy that breaks her heart.
Man.
So yeah, you've just been doing all kinds of cool knife things the past couple weeks. It's been fun watching you, even though you weren't able.
Yeah,
to,
well, it was fun listening to you guys, right? Having all four of you guys on, and that was a funny show that y'all did 2 weeks ago. I had a blast listening to that one with Pinto Sauce and all that. Yeah, man, anybody that's listened to this one that hasn't listened to that one, go back and listen.
I will tell you.
And it's just great because, I know all the inside baseball to all of this and, through the text thread that we've got, but it was still so much fun to go back and listen to it.
You know what's in the Pinto Sauce, and you put that.
What's that?
I don't know, but
I know what's in Pinto
I
Sauce.
put that schnit all over everything.
Beware.
Hey, one more thing I want to mention about that knife show is I talked to at least half a dozen guys that were makers. A lot of times when you go to these shows, you'll get guys that are makers that come through that don't have a table. Maybe they've just started making or they don't have enough stock to put on the table, and they come through and they want to ask you questions. I met at least half a dozen guys that are listeners of this podcast. So I want to thank them for stopping by and asking questions. And we talked about the podcast. They all said they really appreciate it. They love the tips that we get. And so that was pretty rewarding too, to know that we've got listeners out there that like the show and are getting value out of it.
That's awesome, man. Yeah.
And I would like to say
it's really cool.
Cool to have, and it's cool to have, we've had Eric as our celebrity, and now we've got you as the award-winning celebrity in our group. So we're going to respect your celebrity. That's all I have to say.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. So Chris, at these shows, you get to pick who you want to put your table by?
No, not usually. But I talked to Ethan, who's running the one in Louisiana.
Yeah.
And told him, I was like, hey, is it, you think it's all right? Because Sarah and I are going to travel out there together. She'll swing by my house. We'll load up. And then her and me and my buddy Adam, and we'll all head towards Louisiana. And I was like, look, we're coming together. We watch each other's table. And honestly, people look at all my knives, and every single segmented set of scales that's on that table comes from her. Mm-hmm. And so they're like, oh, I love this handle. It's like, oh, well, this is the lady that made it. And then they can look at hers, and they look at one of those, and they're like, oh, I love this handle material. And they're not a maker, and they're like, well, who can make this knife? And, well, okay, then my friend Chris right here can make it. So we can play off each other.
Perfect.
And help each other out. But, they said that shouldn't be a problem for that one.
That's
it doesn't always work that way, though.
Yeah, that's cool. Well, I guess the pressure's on now since you called me out. So
I told Ethan Lee today that I was going to do that. So yeah, we got to get Joey out there. I think he'll do great at a show like that. So we all encourage him and keep him on the ball and make sure he's got that table set up.
cool deal. I'm looking forward to it.
Otis here, we know you've been keeping the people of Maryland protected on the highways and byways, but you've had a lot of cool things going on the past couple of weeks as well. You've been putting out all kinds of cool stuff.
Well, not really. I mean, I kind of slowed down a little bit. Had some projects to go over and redo. So just made a sheath and a test knife, and that's it. I mean, mostly the same day in and day out. The daily grind.
Yep, you've been putting some videos.
Well, you made that little wooden figure though. You made that little friend of yours, like your Tom Hanks stranded on an island.
Woody, the shark sauce man.
The
the
plank.
little planky, huh?
Yeah, I call him
Planky.
Woody.
Did you dip him in Pinto sauce?
No,
Okay.
no. I'll give him a bath on tongue oil.
Otis,
There you
sir,
go.
you should char him up a little bit like he's been using the Pinto sauce.
Like you got a little too close to the forge.
Caught him in the back of the shop smoking that Pinto sauce through a glass pipe. So
I'm glad you have somebody to talk to throughout the day when we don't respond to the messenger chat.
It's always fun.
So your little broomstick buddy or little wooden peg buddy, but you've been recording some videos showing us using the Pinto sauce, and I might even.
And as you could see, I didn't explode. I didn't burst into flames. As a matter of fact, I was watching Eric's video today that he posted about his Tanto, and his quenchant caught fire while mine
But he
didn't.
also had 90 mile an hour.
So
he had
explain
90
that
mile
to
an
me.
hour winds.
No. That
'cause he's-
shouldn't matter.
Was he? I haven't seen the video yet, Eric. Were you outside? Were you quenching in your tiki hut?
Oh man, no! I
No,
pulled it
No,
outside.
man, he
of
was
the hut.
outside. I saw
Yeah.
the whole
Next
thing.
to all the
But-
expensive.
Okay, good. I didn't know if you were inside the tiki hut.
Yeah, I saw the video, man. He was outside on a hurricane or something, man.
I'm like,
that
he's,
was
he's 2 feet from
35
his
mile
wooden
per hour
building.
winds.
Y'all still getting bad weather
30
up there?
Yeah, it's calmed down
It's
a lot
Texas.
today, but yeah, 35 mile per hour winds, and it was man. My forge didn't know whether it wanted to be cool or extremely hot. it was kind of interesting.
I would guess so, with
So,
all that extra
oxygen
air
rich.
blowing through.
Yeah.
No, it's funny whenever I have somebody come over and they want to make a knife, or I'm helping them, walking them through it, and I always let them make sure they get to quench their own blade, right? And I always ask them, I'm like, okay, do you want to do this the normal way like a knife maker does, or do you want to do it the TV way with the forged in fire fireball? And they all want the fireball, and I'm like, okay, well, that's not the way I do it, but all right, let's drag this thing outside where I don't have a roof over our head, and I'll show you how to make the fireball.
Pinto Sauce will definitely give you a giant fireball.
I'll give
bet
you
it would.
BPS too.
Yes. It was locked down.
So let's take a break, and so we can talk about Chris's sponsor he brought on, the BPS Foundation.
Pop's Knife Supply was started 40 years ago and is owned by 4 professional knife makers. Andy Roy of Fiddleback Forge, Alan Searles of W.A. Searles Knives, Joey Berry of J.B. Knife Works, and Dirk Lutz of Dirk Lutz Knives make a great team of owners carrying on the traditions and business started by James Poplin. Over 4 decades in business is a testament to the best customer service with same-day shipping on weekdays. Pops only charges actual shipping, and any shipping differences are refunded on your orders. Everything you need to make knives, from grinding, steel, pin stock, heat treating, and more, can be found at Pops. Visit them at popsknife.supplies. And now, back to the show.
Now I got to look up, see if there's really like something called the BPS Foundation, and now they're going to sue us.
That's all we need.
Do you do a cryo after you do the aluminum plates, or a
I
dry
wanted
ice
to.
bath?
No, I didn't. Not yet. I mean, I've been doing mostly for my own use, and I found that even after the tempering cycle, I'm still at around 60 Rockwell. So, I mean, I've been thinking about it, but the extra cost doesn't seem to be worth the that extra.
Well, you get an extra 1 or 2,
time.
ticks and hardness, but I mean, you can get a Dewar on Amazon, and get a local.
Oh, you can do all it's got to, there's a certain temperature it's got to get below. I think it's like negative 120.
Mm-hmm.
And you can take dry ice,
Yep.
which is pretty cheap, and you can take mineral spirits or denatured alcohol or something along those lines, and very slowly add it to get you a bucket or a pan, like a roasting pan that's 3-4 inches deep, like a serving pan.
Yeah.
And put it in that, and it'll crack and fizzle and pop and do all this stuff, but it'll drop down to like negative 130 something, or it's
Really?
below the negative 120. So
Okay.
it's enough.
So
it's not great. I mean, it's not as
I
good
have
as
a
cryo.
question.
But
I have a question regarding the cryo.
yeah.
So that how long do you leave it in first, and will the cryo increase the hardness by 1 or 2 Rockwell points, or will it just make it so that is extra wear resistance? I mean, what is the
No,
the benefits of cryo?
It'll increase the Rockwell hardness. I'll have to check Dr. Laren Thomas's book, but I know for certain stainless steels like AEBL, it's kind of needed. You get an extra boost out of it, but other steels maybe 154 isn't the case. For the cryo, I've seen guys leave it in for an hour or even longer. Some guys overnight. For the dry ice bath, you basically just leave it in until the dry ice will evaporate, right? That carbon dioxide, as it starts to melt, it'll release the carbon dioxide, and then you're left with the mineral spirits or the acetone or whatever you used, and you can just pour that right back in the can, and it's good as new.
Don't do that. And don't do that.
Because
in
I'm gonna
closed
tell
room.
you, I'm gonna tell you something, man. I don't know how much more performance I can expect from a cryo. As I stated before on a previous episode, I have one particular knife that I made out of S30V, and I was able to go through 7 deer, skinned and quartered, and all the way through without ever having to
It was
retouch the
87
edge.
deer.
Yeah,
It was
S30 is one of those super
It
steels.
was
though.
87 deer last time we talked.
And I went through, I read the recipe for the heat treat. The only thing I couldn't do was cryo at the time. So I would have been able to do 8 deer instead of 7 with the cryo, or
Well, weren't you also like buck naked under a full moon?
Yeah, and it was
yeah,
87.
well,
face
I have
paint
that
on.
going
Yeah,
too.
I mean, you know how Pinto rolls.
Yeah.
Wild.
And his little wooden buddy.
I don't know. Chip. I've seen the pictures on Chip's, Facebook page with all that face paint and everything. He was, what was it? Somebody said he was harnessing his inner Pinto.
I'm hooked.
That was scary, man. I was like, that's like Rambo 2 or whatever that
You
was.
look like Tom Berenger from Sniper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
this fat old boy thanks you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I was about to say, he's like, nobody's ever said I look
Wow.
like Tom Berenger now. Not from the movie. Like Tom Berenger now, like 75 years old.
Well, thank you still. Yeah, at least you said it don't look like, what is it, Russell Crowe now or something like that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that'd be pretty
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
It changed a
Eric.
lot.
Or
Yeah,
Mickey
see,
Rourke.
poor guy has.
He went
Yeah.
from fit and in shape to Jack Black real quick.
Yeah.
I think Mickey Rourke leaned over and was quenching with the Pinto sauce and got the fireball.
Speaking of fireballs that we saw on YouTube today, you put out a video. What's been going on at the Rivers Forge and Knife Works?
Well, lots of stuff. Of course, we have the Dagger Challenge of videos releasing. What would be tomorrow, as as we're recording this. So on Friday, the 15th, and that's when those are going to release. They're going to release at I think it's 11 a.m. Central Time. So it's gonna be pretty cool. Let everybody see all these videos. It's 18 knife makers that ended up actually fully going through with the challenge, and it is gonna be something else. It's the largest knife making, I guess you can say, challenge or competition on YouTube, and then like all of YouTube, and it's one of the largest knife making challenges in the world. So it's a pretty big deal, because I mean, everybody's from all over the place. We got people in Europe, we got people, literally everywhere, all over the world, competing in this, and it's a few million subscribers worth of worth of subscribers, and it's gonna be something else. And there's such a huge variety. You got everything from simple looking daggers that were made out of Wootz steel to complicated stiletto style to quillions to push daggers to of course my double bladed dagger and all of these different things. It's absolutely crazy the amount of stuff that
You're too
people
humble
have
to call it
created.
Darth. You're too humble to call it the Darth Maul.
Yeah, no. So I've had people call it the Darth Maul, and I've had people call it the Thanos dagger. And yeah, because the whole double bladed thing. But it is absolutely awesome. I'm happy that people can finally watch that episode. It's a little bit different than what I typically do editing wise for my videos, and I think people are going to have fun with it. I think people are going to like the episode. It's different because it doesn't have any of my normal intro and outro music, and it doesn't have the normal intro. It's got a completely different intro. It's going to be something else, but I think people, like I said, are going to like the format that I did with it. And between that and, of course, working on the Tonto, and I've got a few other builds that I'm about to start and a few builds that I'm about to finish. But I'll tell you this. Can you create a Hamon on 8670? Yes. Does it create a pretty Hamon on 8670? Not really. not like what you would typically, see. Like I've done Hamons on 26C3. That leaves the most defined line possible. I mean, it is a line that follows whatever pattern you did your clay with, or you did whatever you're going to put on there. It follows that line perfectly. With this, it's kind of like a suggestion for where the color is going to change. It might be, here's a little bit darker here, and then over here it's a little bit lighter, and then right here it's jet black. But
But I like some of those. I liked when I saw it. I hear exactly and saw what you're saying, but it still has a really unique look.
Yes, it really does, and I really enjoy the look of it. I'm about to go through and I'm re-sanding it, and then I'm going to etch it and see what it looks like after this next etching. And I haven't decided exactly what I'm going to do. I was thinking about sanding it and gun bluing it and seeing what that looked like, because I can always just sand it back off and do a different thing. I mean, that's the coolest part about it. I'll be finishing it for the next video that it releases, and I just want it to look exactly how I want it to look, and I haven't exactly got there yet, so I'm going to keep playing with it. But I wanted to show people what it would look like if you did a Hamon on 8670, because there's like 0 videos out there on YouTube or anywhere of someone actually trying it. And you got so many different opinions and people saying you can do it, you can't do it, and all this stuff. So I just wanted to show myself trying it and seeing what it did. I will tell you this. If you're going to do it, you really want to focus the heat on the actual exposed blade area, and not let your clay or whatever you're going to put on it on the spine get near as hot, because you have to soak. Well, you don't have to. I kind of am picky with this stuff. I did mine. It fluctuated between 1500 and 1550 because of the wind and all that, but I let it soak for almost 5 minutes in the forge.
How are you probing your temps?
I've got a thermocouple, and then of course my electric thermometer. The downside to the electric laser thermometer is if you let the heat focus too much on the front of it, that will throw off the temp of your laser. So let's say the plastic around the edge of the viewers aren't going to be able to see this, but if you have this front section towards the heat for too long, and this heats up to like 100 degrees, it'll throw off the temp for what your
Okay.
laser's reading by 50 to 75 to maybe even 100 degrees itself. And so it's useful, but you have to be able to use that while it's staying away from your forge. You bring it up, keep a distance away from whatever you're going to be checking the temp on, and then check the temp on it. But I'll tell you, it's all about thermocoupler and actually making sure that you're trying to keep it where it needs to be, and you're moving the blade in and out of the forge and letting it do its thing. It's a pain in the butt, but for steels that are supposed to have a soak time, I would prefer to have at least a 3-minute soak time before I quench it. And it was kind of a pain in the butt because during that process, the clay, got pretty warm, and I don't know if that affected the actual it could have been a lot of stuff that affected the actual hamon on this. I think I could have got I think I could have got a crisper one, but it still produced a hamon, and the spine is still softer. The spine is right at about 40 HRC, and then the edge is a 60 file barely catches it, and a 55 doesn't at all. So it's in that in between. It might be around 58, 59, which is perfectly fine. And I've got 40 on the spine, so it did what it's supposed to do. Yeah.
Yeah, that last 1084 that I did, I got similar results, just without the clay.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember when I sent the pictures there. You can see that black line about 3/8 of an inch high from the edge, all the way from the my plunge line to the tip. You can see that extra dark area there on 1084, but without the clay. And I got pretty much the same thing, around 40 on the spine, and after tempering, barely under 60 on a file on the edge. So yeah, I got some pretty good stuff there too.
Eric, where did you find that laser gun, temperature gun that would go high enough to 1500 degrees?
Oh, you can get on
He
Amazon.
probably raided Darth Vader's locker or something, man, because that laser gun.
Yeah, so this one right here is you can get it off of Amazon, and this will go up to 2,732 degrees.
Oh wow! Yeah.
So that is what
They're like, what, $50? Something like that?
yeah. I think it was like
40, $50 somewhere.
I think it was 59 because I wanted the one that went up over 2,000 degrees, and it was right at about 59.
Yeah, I've looked at them at
How
Home
close does it
Depot,
have to
and
be
they don't
from
go
your-
that high at all.
No, those only go to like 600.
Yeah, and
How close does it have to be from the steel
It could
for you
be
to read properly?
2 feet. It can be pretty
Yeah.
far away because it's a laser.
outside the
It can be
forge.
kind of wherever you want it to be. Like I said earlier, you just want to make sure it's not too close, because the front of it, the plastic little shroud around the laser, will get warm and it will throw off the temp.
another question.
And don't use it to test your own temperature, like for a COVID test. You don't want to get that laser. Just that's a disclaimer for our listeners. As Eric tries it.
95.9.
Oh wow!
Oh my!
Nice. As far as the YouTube challenge, can anyone join that, or is it just a YouTuber thing, or?
So with the YouTube challenge, it is for just YouTubers, but the only limitation that's on there is that you need to have over 1,000 subscribers. The point behind that is this challenge helps grow channels, and we want to make sure that if someone's going to get a ton of views off of this, that their video can at least be monetized. Because to be monetized on YouTube, you have to have 1,000 subscribers and at least 4,000 hours watched in a year. And you want to make sure that if we're going to boost someone up that much, that they can at least benefit from it. And so we put that limit, 1,000 subscribers, and it's gonna get pretty crazy because again, the next one we have a possibility of Will Stelter, Jason Knight, and Jimmy DeResta, and like a few other people that are gonna try and join up and compete in the next one that we're gonna do, and we're hopefully gonna be doing a possibly a chopper style knife in the next one, which is gonna be pretty cool because if Keaton from Faraway Forge joins, he's probably gonna make a, if y'all have ever seen the sword that the guy carries on Silent Hill, the game or the movie that came out, the horror movie, the dude that had like the 15-foot long sword and the big pointy helmet thing, he'll probably make something like that because he made a freaking Gaiuto knife that was 3 feet long. So yeah.
Do you think we could get Paul Senior to from Orange County Choppers to make a knife throwing chopper to give away as an award? Or Paul Junior, either one of them.
Pretty cool. Yeah. Do a bicycle chain or the bike chain Damascus or something like that.
That would be
so
cool.
The cool thing about this dagger one is we have people that made, like I said, simpler ones that focused on technical stuff, people who focused on like more machine quality stuff, and then people who focused on all the different versions of Damascus that you can possibly do. We got one that has like the guard on it is wrought iron that they over etched so that it ate away a lot of the fibers in wrought iron, and then they melted in copper into that to make it look like some crazy rustic, just old school thing. And it is unreal. Like there's a bunch of people in this that just made crazy stuff. And the youngest person on it is 17 years old. A kid named Liam, that's 17, and he made a beautiful stiletto style dagger that is nuts.
Is that Liam Penn?
Yes. Yeah, he did some of his apprentice work under Will Stelter. Yeah. He's something
Is
else.
there a size limit for the daggers for the challenge?
No. So we were thinking about doing parameters. We had probably a 5-hour discussion on the Slack channel that we have about whether we wanted to do parameters for the next challenge, and I advised everybody against it. But we didn't really do parameters. The whole point behind not having parameters is you have those on shows like Forged in Fire because they have to be able to eliminate somebody to go to the next round. Like you have to be able to say, you and you made it through, but you didn't because you didn't meet XYZ, and that's the way for them to eliminate. But for the YouTube challenge, I mean, we have hundreds of thousands of people that are judging this thing, and a lot of them could care less whether we made a hidden tang knife or a full tang knife or a knife that was between 13 and 20 inches or any of that. They just want to sit back, relax, and watch us beat on stuff and grind things and cut things. To them, to people who watch YouTubers, even if you're a full-time knife maker that just happens to do YouTube, to them, you're a YouTuber that just happens to do knives because they're seeing it through the entertainment aspect of it, not this is what you do for a living, because to them, they watch you on YouTube all the time. That's what you do to them. That's you film yourself doing things.
The Alex Steele, it's the Alex Steele approach, right? He doesn't have, 3 million subscribers, or I don't know how many he has, but he's got millions, right? He doesn't have that many millions of subscribers that are blacksmiths and bladesmiths, right? It's just people that like to watch it for entertainment value.
Yeah. I know there's definitely a following because, there's some non-YouTubers that are just like building along with y'all, it looks like.
Mm-hmm. Yep, there's a lot of that.
Yeah, it gives a lot of ideas, a lot of things to think about. Now, you all got me thinking about, I want to make me one too, right? I want to probably start working on a dagger. Mr. TheRiot here, he posted some pictures earlier today of a pretty little dagger that you drew on a computer. So, yeah, I think I'm going to take a page out of your books and gonna start making a deck.
Speaking of that, Joey, you've been. Tell us about the software you use. And I know that it's a subscription service, but what have you been working on the last couple of weeks as well? I've seen some neat drawings and products coming out of your shop.
Yeah, I've just been designing, doing a lot of designing and tinkering and changing things on some of these knives that I've showed y'all. And so I just want to basically been focused on trying to get some stuff done, like getting a logo made and trying to gear up to do this show now that Chris called me out. So
now, where's the show at?
Located? It's in Lafayette, Louisiana. Yep.
So that's about 6 hours from me.
Yep. Yeah,
you should come on down.
Yeah,
you get to meet
me,
TheRiot, and Sarah.
Yep.
I was going to say you guys get
along with a bunch of other
you guys
really
get
cool
to meet
makers.
me, and I'll wear my grease paint. So I mean,
Hey, when
I've always
I'll be
wanted to
like
meet Tom
Chris.
Berenger.
We'll be at the show and be like, Chris, who's that guy? That guy looks
is
like
that
Tom
Uncle
Berenger.
Si? Is that
Looks
Uncle
like
Si?
Tom Berenger.
That's Tom Berenger.
That's Tom Berenger.
Hey, when is the show?
It is
September
September 10th.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think September 11th is on a Sunday. I'm pretty sure it's September 10th.
Yeah, because the first one they did, or the second one they did, was on the 11th, and it was kind of cool because they wanted to keep doing that because of the whole 9/11 thing, and so. But yeah, I've just been designing, making a couple of different blades, and now that I got everything designed, I'm gonna quit designing and start actually processing some of these blades and get them finished and done for this show. So that's basically what I've been trying to do.
So Joey, when you're doing the designing, are you using knife print?
I am. I do use knife print. I use knife print. I think knife print's a really useful tool for me, my opinion. Normally what I do is when I start designing something, I'll put it on paper first.
Uh-huh.
And then
Have you ever imported it in?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, where you import it in the paper and then trace it in the program?
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm serious.
The trace function? Yeah.
Yes. It saves a lot of time.
Yes, absolutely. And then from there, you can do all your tweaking. You can change the geometry how you want it, do what you... and so I've been doing a lot of that, and I think knife print's a really useful tool. Watching Eric make it rain with templates.
Yeah. Eric's making confetti over there with all of his templates.
I think it's a great tool because I just wait for you to do something and then I copy it, put my name on it, give it some American Indian name, and boom.
Chip, I've been waiting. I've sent you a profile. You haven't even did anything yet with it.
It's in a folder in my book of knives to make. I've got to get inspired. Got to get inspired. I mean, you didn't even tell me if you liked it or not. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I did tell you. Yes, I like it very.
Don't hurt his feelings, man. Don't make TheRiot mad.
I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry.
You don't want to see the.
He'll do some Cajun voodoo on you or something.
I know. No, I do like it very much.
Here, man.
And honestly, I was looking at the grind on it, and I thought maybe I should wait until I get my Ameribraid grinder.
That would be good.
I would like to get a wheel with it and practice on that and do a little different type of grind.
Hollow grind?
Yeah,
do
a little different type of grind on it.
Basically what I recommended. Yeah.
And I don't have the ability to do that right now with, I'm not going to mention it because Chris just laughs at me.
Hey listeners, let's take a moment today to thank one of our sponsors for today's show, and that sponsor is Ameribraid Grinders. Eric and Kevin over at Ameribraid have sold thousands of these grinders, and they are super nice guys, and their customer service is excellent. I would know. I've been personally using their 2x72 grinder now for 2 years, and it has changed my knife making to a whole new level. So if you're in the market for or looking to upgrade from that 1x30 or 2x42, then give Ameribraid a look. There you'll find they have 3 packages of grinders to offer. They have a mastery package, a foundations package, and a get grinding package, in which all of them come at different price points. So I'm sure you'll find something that'll suit your needs as a knife maker. Also, Ameribraid has a ton of innovative attachments for their grinders. So listeners, you can find out about all of this at www.ameribraid.com. Go give them a look, see what they have to offer today. And now, back to the show.
Grind with the Dremel.
And
Hey,
a
I'm
2
just
by
saying,
Dremel and
if anybody from Ameribraid is listening to this podcast, give this man a discount so he can get himself a grinder.
The money is.
I know, so we can stop talking about his 2x42 and he won't feel inadequate.
Yeah, the money will be here in June, so I will be getting it then. But yeah, I do love.
He only has to sell 37 more flushing knives.
Right.
That's it.
Let me tell you what I've been doing. I have learned. Do you know that if you batch knives, you make knives quicker? Duh.
Yeah,
you have to throw the artist
Absolutely.
totally out. And here's what I figured, and it was an epiphany. And I think you just have to discover it. Is that if I make all these blades, I do all these rough grinds, and then here's the trick. Then you heat treat them and temper them, and then you go back to finishing them 1 or 2 at a time. But they move quickly that way because and what I did, I've made 5 knives. That's my biggest batch right now. I've got 5 knives sitting on my bench, maybe a 6th one tomorrow morning. But if you figure an hour to get my forge up and heat it up and heat the knife and then put it all away, I've spent an hour per knife. And, 3 hours, 4 hours tempering. And so if you do that 5 times 4 is 20 and 5 times 1 is 5, I'm doing 25 hours worth of work and probably, maybe 3 or 4 hours worth of work. So I'm keeping track of it.
Doing 5 or 6 is like the perfect size, batch size.
Yeah.
I would say it depends upon, like I have the kiln, so for me it's how many I can fit in the kiln.
Right.
Also, how much oil do you have? Right? I mean, if you've got that big old vat of Pinto sauce, then you could do a lot, right? But if you've got...
I know where to
6
get
gallons.
Pinto sauce
Yeah.
in a few minutes.
If you've got
6 gallons.
If you've got 2 gallons of Parks 50, it's going to heat up too quickly if you do more than about 4 or 5 blades.
Yeah.
So you need more. You need volume so that you can dissipate the heat more, because once that gets too hot, then you can't do it. Now you're having to wait around for it to cool off.
Well, I've actually
which
got 5 gallons of Parks, and I can set up a second quench tank because I've got the ability to do that.
Yeah.
Get you one of them
You
big
profiling
50 gallon
your blades,
drums.
or you
so you
having
can set
them?
that forged in fire fireball coming out of there.
Yeah. Well, I
Are you
think those are.
profiling your
I think
blades
those are
yourself,
30
or you
I
gallons.
think it's
having
called
them
Fire
profile
for
for you?
Show, Pinto for Dough, or something like that.
Yeah. I've been debating about doing that, but I don't want to spend all the money on the Parks 50.
That's a lot of Parks 50.
30 gallons? Yeah.
Yeah, that's expensive.
Yeah, that is very expensive. But I got 5 gallons too, but
I
I
didn't say. I hope I didn't say 50 gallons. I've got 5 gallons. So what?
Yeah, you said you had like 5
You
to
said
6.
5.
Okay.
Yeah, you said 5.
I said get you a big old 50 gallon vat and just that way you can get the bigger fireball.
Yeah. I got you. So the other thing is, it's going to speed it up. I'm making my last knives in a coal forge, at least for making lots of knives. Like I said, I've got this love affair with my coal forge. So today I deposited the money, and tonight when we hang up, I'm going to be ordering my Majestic forge. And I went back and I started ordering at the beginning of the week, but I went back and looked at other forges, the pluses or minuses, and I just couldn't say no to it. I could save some money and get something else that I don't know if it's necessarily inferior, but this thing looks so well made, and it's got the seal of approval from one of the best knife shows out there that I've never seen an episode of, but I've seen those forges. I'm going to go watch a show this week so I can report back next time. And I'm just going to go ahead and break my thing.
The best season is season 4.
Season 4, okay, I'll go back and watch that. But so yeah, I'm ordering it, and I think it's a week or 2 to get it in. So when it gets here, I'm making a couple larger knives right now, and I wanted those to be the first ones that I put through it. And I'm sure I'll have good things to say on the other side.
So most importantly, do you got all your propane and propane accessories?
I do. I do.
Yeah.
You don't have to be. You don't have to be from Texas, from Arlen, Texas, to get good propane accessories.
Hey, Bobby, that boy just ain't right.
That boy ain't right. God damn it, Bobby.
Nah, see, TheRiot, he needs to be the boomhauer. You know, that's the.
I'm gonna tell you something about being on spin.
We've got some of those younger makers that Eric was talking about, those 17-year-olds that are listening right now going, what in the world are these guys talking about?
I do not understand these references.
Eric, you talked earlier about Liam studying and apprenticing under Will Stelter. I was like, man, you combine the two of their ages and you can add a third maker and they still won't get to chip.
No kidding, huh?
Yep.
It beats the alternative. A long, long life beats the alternative.
So those Majestic forges, I've looked at them too because I just have right now it's and I don't use it for heat treat anymore, so it's not used as much. But I've got an old Freon tank that a guy here in Texas makes, but I've looked at like the 2-burner and 3-burner, and I heard y'all talking about that on one of the previous podcasts. The only thing, and Joey, you've got one of these, right?
I do, yeah.
Okay. The only thing that I had read where people had any form of complaint about them was they say that the exterior, like it does get hot, right? Like it will heat up your shop.
No doubt. No doubt.
Yeah, and that's why when you see those guys on Forged in Fire and they're drenched in sweat,
yes,
it's because those things put off heat.
Yeah, but any
Yeah, I use that during winter to heat up my little shop.
any self-respecting
I went through a couple of propane
and
tanks.
I don't really
I'm telling
push
you that.
mine.
I mean, it gets hot.
any self-respecting blacksmith or knife maker needs to be covered in a little soot and sweat. Just got to look the part.
Now, Joey, what size propane tank do you use for that?
100 gallon. The 100 pound. Sorry, 100 pound.
Yeah, the 100-pound, the big one.
Yep.
Yeah.
How long does that last? I don't think you've run out yet, have you?
No.
I've got
How fun is that to get that refilled?
Oh man, I know you leave with your pocketbook hurting.
Now, I've got a regular propane tank right now off of an old gas forge because I use coal. I don't use propane and propane accessories. So I've got an old tank. How long will that last?
How big is it?
Just a regular grill
Like
size
a 20
tank.
pound?
Yeah.
The 20 pounders?
Yeah.
Like a 5-gallon.
Yeah, you'll probably heat treat maybe about a dozen knives.
Oh,
with
well,
it.
that's cool.
Yeah. So if you're if you're forging with that tank, you'll do
Yes.
a couple miles.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll go fast and it'll freeze up,
It will definitely
especially
freeze
if you're running multiple burners.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you don't want to freeze up, there's a neat little trick you can do. Have a 50-gallon drum cut it in half, fill it up with water, and have just sitting in there. It will be bobbing on the water.
Yep.
I'm glad you
It
said
will keep
water
it
and not
from
soak it in
freezing.
Pinto sauce.
Or
No,
That would be
Pinto sauce for
bad.
that.
That would be
Pinto
bad.
sauce is
torch underneath
extremely.
it, little burner,
Yep.
little nice warmer underneath there.
Yeah.
Lights
just,
that
you
lights
know,
that
so-
propane
some-
tank and shoots it off like a
Turn-
rocket. Goes like 3
turn-
miles into
some-
space.
Turn the forge and have it pointing toward it,
Towards the tank, keep it nice and broad.
Well, if I'm
and
doing
make sure the line is touching the side of the forge, and
Yeah.
Well, and as you're hammering,
Yeah.
make sure your slag and all those sparks are like flying towards
yeah.
the Pinto
Yep.
sauce.
Y'all
Yep.
completely
Hey, man.
ignore us,
Makes it
listeners.
fun.
Just
Yeah, don't
completely-
please. This is a disclaimer. Please don't do any of this.
Don't do any of
We are
that.
not
No,
liable.
but yeah, I mean seriously, you can you can keep it from freezing up just by putting in some sort of warm water and just let it float.
so if you drink
You know,
enough
in
beers
there,
and just relieve
and you
yourself on
keep
the
it-
tank, would that be enough to break up the ice?
It depends on the outside temperature. You might not do anything.
Oh,
You don't
yeah,
want
up
to freeze
in there in
yourself.
Maryland, man.
You don't want to freeze yourself to the tank. That's for sure.
Well, if you get that, if you get that, thermometer, that digital thermometer, and you can check to see what the temperature is as you're relieving yourself on it, and see if you can lower it.
Should be around 97.
You gotta get real
98
accurate
degrees.
though with that.
Yeah, look at that.
You gotta get real accurate with that laser, though.
98.6.
Yeah.
I think we might need a break from one of our sponsors.
Hey.
We'll be right back.
Yep.
As knife makers, we all know the importance of quality handle material. Something that's both tough yet beautiful will increase the value of your knives and allow you to build something that your customers will love. When it comes to the handle material for my knives, I choose Swikowski scales. Run by Sarah Halpane and her mentor Alex Swikowski, they have a combined 20 years experience making handles and knives. They offer stabilized burls, exotic hardwoods, vintage micartas, and some of the best segmented scales in the business. Find them on Instagram at Swikowski Scales or on their website, swikowskiscales.com. That's SWIECZKOWSKI scales.com.
Winging it.
It's going pretty well, guys. I'm enjoying this. We're getting good at this.
Oh, this one's fun. I'm glad to be back.
I'm glad you are.
Yeah, man. We're glad to have you back.
So yeah, Chris, congratulations on your accomplishments there. You know, it's something.
Thank you.
You could actually sit around like
I'm
this.
jealous.
Just,
Like I'm.
just hold
Yeah.
that pinky up.
Oh, that's how I drink
should.
I drink my tea with my
Yeah.
pinky
Yeah, I
up
would
now.
sit and just
Yeah,
when
you
you talk to
should.
people,
I
just
don't-
hold your pinky up.
Yeah. This is Chris.
Looking very majestic on those photos there with them beads
like-
and everything. You know,
Yeah, he's like,
really nice.
I don't always win knife competitions, but when I do, I do.
I tell you what though, I said earlier that's when I felt like I really arrived as a knife maker, but that wasn't 100% true. It wasn't until a couple of days after when I got my first internet troll.
Oh yeah.
That's when I felt I had really arrived.
Yeah.
So tell us about this internet
we've all-
troll.
Yeah, we've all chatted about this, but I'll bring the listeners up to speed. So, my knife that I entered was one of my Ridgeback designs, right? And it's got a harpoon fin or swedge or whatever, a tactical, look to it, right on the top, on the spine. And there was a user that jumped on and tagged Logan Bracken, who's from Bracken Blades, who I know, is a friend of mine. And he has a design that also has a swedge harpoon clip called the Nightmare. And this guy tagged him and said, "Hey, Logan, this looks a lot like a Nightmare, doesn't it?" And I thought, I shouldn't really entertain this guy and respond, but I did. And I mentioned that, hey, I respect Logan as a maker, and I've been designing this knife for, 2+ years. I've only known Logan for a little over a year. And the guy comes back with, "Yeah, sure you did," or something like that.
Did you say, look at the
And it
point?
just kinda-
this point. Look at where that point comes
it
out.
just
That's
kinda-
me. That's my point.
Yeah, it just kind of irked me. And this guy's a follower of Logan. So I messaged Logan, and Logan's a good stand-up guy. He came right back out, and, within about 10, 15 minutes, he went and commented to the guy and said, "Hey, this is just a design. There's a lot of makers. This has been going on long before Chris and I have ever even started making knives. This is a design." And I tell people when they come up to my table, and, I let them all know, like, hey, you can handle anything. Pick it up. You can take pictures. I don't care. And it's, I want them to get inspiration from them, right? Take one of my designs. Cool. You like the fact that I've got that harpoon clip? Go design yourself a knife with a harpoon clip. You're not stealing my design, right? You're taking inspiration from it. If you are going to do almost exact, give me some credit, right? When you go to post it. But I had a conversation with, Rob from, I believe, I'm almost positive it's Rob, from Blue Canoe Forge. He's out in New Braunfels, Texas. Journeyman Smith. He makes some great knives. And he did a run of those boot knife daggers. And my daughter kept going over to his table, and she was just fascinated by them. And so came over there, and, he understands that, I'm a fellow knife maker. I'm not going to buy my daughter one of his, very nice daggers. And so he told her, he's like, take a picture, design your own, be inspired by it, and that's fine, right? Like it's okay. And I say that there's not a design out there, or 99.99% of all designs out there that have an edge, a tip, and a handle have already been done.
Well, let me
Right.
let me add this to it. I have talked a little bit about my fishing lure business, and I still make fishing lures from time to time for special folks. And people always say, "Oh, you have to patent this, and this is great," but you can't patent anything that just mimics nature. You can't patent something that looks like a fish. You can't. It's got to have a mechanical advantage. So eventually, I worked in a facility that had circuit board material, and I started using circuit board lips, making my dive lips out of circuit board material. Somebody said, "You sure should patent that or get the rights to it." And I'd already done the other thing, looked into it, and I just didn't approach it. And then I made some lips for a particular guy that it was in the industry. And next thing I know, I tell you, if you go to Bass Pro Shops right now, those expensive lures all have micarta lips. And I mean, I don't know if I'm the father of micarta, because if you look for, BPS on online, you're going to find BPS has many different meanings, and many people have it, and you're not the first one to coin it there, Chris. But
now we know why Chip doesn't like micarta.
but
Exactly.
But you see a lot. No, I don't. It's flattery. Now, if you look at knives, you don't really have to get into the whole. It's got a knife. It's got a handle. Yes, they have since the beginning of time. But what gives it a mechanical advantage to set it out? If you're, I'm making a knife right now. I think it's kind of like what you were saying. I was totally inspired by Trolsky. He's just got this beautiful design, and I'm making a knife right now. And I'll probably end up selling it, or I'll give it away to a friend, probably sell it. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm inspired by his designs. I tell you what, you can't lay it up against any knife that he's made and say, hey, that's his exact design. Nor can you look at the finished product and go, my gosh, this looks like a Trolsky knife, because I can't emulate those exact little things that he does that makes his knife so beautiful. I can only do what I do.
Well, and even if you did, it's got your personality, right? It's got your take on it, your twist, subtle curves differently. It's got your maker's mark, your choice of handle material, your pin placements. Trolsky's pin placements are very distinct, right?
Gorgeous.
He's got one very, very far up, at the front of the bolster, very close to the ricasso, much closer than most makers. And a lot of times he's got one lanyard hole in the back, right at where it comes to that point, right? I mean, beautiful design. But Trolsky didn't invent that design. He has his look and take, and as long as a maker's not trying to replicate 100% down to every last little detail of another maker's work,
right,
then it's inspiration, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
just like music has been. Who influenced the
right,
artist as a musician?
Art, music.
Yeah.
It's all.
I sure would
it's all
like to
theft.
copy the. I sure would like to copy his pepper though. His pepper is like the coolest, most simplest, coolest little maker's mark. I love his pepper.
It reminds me, there was, if you guys ever saw, we're all of the appropriate age, except for Chip, he's a little older. But Vanilla Ice back in the 90s when he came out with Ice Ice Baby, and it's
I used to have
Queen's
a Vanilla
Under
Ice
Pressure.
haircut.
Oh yeah,
It's ding ding
There you
ding
go.
ding ding ding, not ding ding ding
Yeah.
ding 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 ding.
yeah.
Yeah, the
Mine
way he
goes
did
like
it,
this.
it was like
Mine-
mine's a little different. Mine
Yeah.
goes ding, 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 ding.
Yours goes dun
And
dun
it's-
dun 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 dun.
Right. We're like, oh, okay, yeah. It's the same thing, right? It's first time I made one of my barbecue slicers. It's got a K-tip, right?
Ah,
There's no maker that invented the K-tip, but Jeff Fader does it very well,
yeah.
and he's got it on his. And so I made a K-tip knife. I posted it. I tagged Jeff and said, hey, I was inspired by his work. Mine's obviously different. I've got a different heel height. I've got a different handle shape. I've got my handle that I put on it, not his. And he came back and said, hey, looks great. And so you kind of have to see it as it's a form of flattery, right?
I've been inspired
but-
by the forks he's making, and I'm not
Yeah.
the one to start selling forks or anything, but I've gonna make a fork in my future. Just to, the carving forks he makes are beautiful, so he's inspired me to make one.
Yeah,
at
those
some point.
serving forks. Yeah.
Yeah, his choice of handle materials, man, all those colors. I mean, it's just wow.
I mean, the guy's got an art degree,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that's what he did. He made fishing lures that were like gigantic, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
8-10 feet long,
Yep.
but very distinctive style, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I was to go out and do the exact same handle material on the exact same knife, yeah, I if I did it one time to say I could do it, great. If I decided to make a market out of it and try to go replicate and sell knives and be the, hey, I'm going to undercut his prices and do the exact same knife for 25% cheaper, okay, yeah, there's something wrong with that. But no makers are doing that I know of.
Well, I did have an idea of standing out in front of Walmart and selling my own brand of forged in fire knives.
I will tell you
really?
this. If I ever see a knife that has a Texas flag on it, I immediately think Etsy. That is like probably.
Wait, hold on. So you got a
You're
problem?
from Etsy. You are from Etsy.
My tattoo is from Etsy. I made myself a knife that has a Texas theme handle. It's Bradford Hunt Designs. Bradford Hunt makes it. I guarantee you right now that handle scale is about 3 times the cost of one of those Etsy knives.
Oh yeah. Is it?
But yeah, no, I made that knife and then I had it tattooed on my arm.
Hey,
so.
but is that knife the Damascus, the Pakistan Damascus, or is it?
Oh yeah, that etched Damascus
Back
blade.
Damascus.
Yeah.
Hey,
Made from hubcaps and soda cans.
do you guys get those guys on Instagram that always follow you and
Gosh.
send you
I got
messages
one
going,
today.
do you want to buy an axe?
Yeah,
It's
they're
like, why are
wanting
you
to
soliciting
sell me
me?
pre-made knives. And they're like, you can put your logo on this. And I'm like,
Nah.
They're always
Dude, I gotta
soliciting
show you
you.
guys.
like,
I got a friend request today from a guy named Perry Phil, and he's a handmade maker out of Atlanta, and he basically makes Pakistani knives.
yes,
And I'm
Yes.
like, I
I have a
guarantee
book-
you're not in Atlanta.
exactly. I
Like,
have a
I've
bunch
never
of
seen
followers
this
like
guy.
that.
We don't share
I had
any
this guy
friends.
in the shop,
No.
and he bought a whole bunch of these Damascus knives, and he brought it over, and he is stamping his own brand on them, and he's selling them as if he's the one making it.
What?
Oh, those probably came from Texas, actually.
yeah.
Via they came from Pakistan via Texas. There's a company
Wait.
here outside the Houston area that imports all of these from Pakistan and then sells them to other guys that will then etch their logo on them, and they'll say that they're handmade, and then when you ask them if they made it, they've always got some story about I've got some cousin that this there's never a straight answer, but they always say that they made it.
Yeah.
Right?
I've seen those knives in person
Yeah.
at a Virginia gun show. As a matter of fact, there is one coming up next week called the Nation's Gun Show. I go there just to throw and look.
I do too.
I mean, there is so many.
I do it at the car shows.
Looking knives
That's
in
not
there.
a knife. This
That
is a knife.
amazing.
Your knife shall
I'll be
not
taking
pass.
some pictures and sending it to the
I
group.
like how you said that.
Sending it to you guys, but it's some crazy
You ever
stuff
tell them
in
your
there.
knife shall
I
not
picked
pass?
up some blades and some swords that they make, man. It looks like a fish hook, already warped from on the table, warped. I mean,
Can
come
you
on.
hand them out any
Well,
reject stickers?
Maybe
from
they
the
were in a
Maryland-
hurry.
Hand them some reject stickers from the Maryland Department of Transportation.
This
Yeah.
shall not pass. So what I like is whenever you
This shall not
whenever
pass.
you see the titles for the knives, and it's like hand forged, handcrafted, chef, tactical, tracking, K-bar,
Yes.
flesh
And the
knife,
grammar's
random
off and
skinning
it's
knife.
misspelled. And,
Yes.
Yeah.
Forged
Yes.
on an unguarded 25 horsepower motor with being being
Forged
speed controlled
in
with
only
my
the
foot.
finest flip flops.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know,
yes. Sitting
you know
down
what I
on the
think?
dirt floor.
it's the people who actually import those knives and sell it as their
Yeah.
own in here is a lack of self-respect and
Oh, yeah.
pride. Because when I put one of my knives for sale, you can bet your bottom dollar that I made that
Pinto
knife,
sauce.
and I wouldn't put my name on that knife if I didn't do it. I had this, I will not name names because he might listen to it later, but I had this guy ask me, oh, can you make me a knife? And then don't put your name on it, put my name on it. So now, man, if you want a knife, I'll put my name on it. And if you want, I'll put some special marking on the other side for you, or even put your name on the other side for you. But my name has to be on that
Yeah,
side
I've
of the
told
knife.
people I don't.
Because
I
I
don't
made
put
it.
anything.
If you went to Nike and you got a polo shirt, right, and you want to have your like logo embroidered on one side, you don't go to Nike and be like, hey, I really like your shirts, but I want one without a swoosh.
Yeah.
They're gonna be like, yeah, no.
Yeah.
See ya.
I've told people
Get
that
outta
I don't put anything other
Yeah.
than my logo on knives. I don't have any intention.
I'll put.
He said, I'll pay you the same. I'll pay you the same for the knife. Said, but I just don't want your name. I said, no deal. You either have my name on the knife or you don't have a knife at
Right.
all. So I walked away. Say, forget it. You ain't gonna get it. For me is a matter of pride more than a matter of making an extra buck in there. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
To get
I've
their
told-
name laser etched on the blade. I mean,
I put customers' names. They've got a knife that they want to give to a scout for his Eagle Scout, or they, had a customer that their son graduated from, Texas DPS and school and was going to be a state trooper. And yeah, I'll put their name and, the year. I'll
But
etch
your
that.
brand is
But
there.
my brand's always on one side.
Yes.
I did tell one
Of course.
customer one time, he said, well, I don't want your logo on the blade. He goes, I don't want anything on the blade. And I said, well, I will make one accommodation. And he didn't like it. So he said no, but I've got a mosaic pin that I had made with my logo.
Oh, wow. Cool.
And I was like, I'll do it.
That's
But
cool.
you have to have this mosaic pin. And he's like, no, I don't like that. I want a different. And I was like, no, I'm not making you a knife that's completely blank. But one of the, I was at a show in Conroe, and there's a guy, I can't think of his name right now, but he makes these push daggers that have like a thumb ring, but your index finger goes in it, right? So it's almost like a pistol grip with a dagger coming out the front, right? So a push dagger that you could fight with. A very distinctive style. And this customer comes up, and again, this show's at a brewery, right? So this guy was lit. And him and his girlfriend come over, and they asked me if I can custom make knives. I was like, yeah, I'll make knives. I was like, with my design? And he goes, I want you to make that guy's knife. And I went, absolutely not. And he's like, I don't like that guy. I talked to that guy. He's a jerk. I don't want to have him make a knife. I want you to make it. No. He goes, I'll pay you double. No. He goes, I won't tell anybody that you made somebody else's knife. I was like, I don't do that. I was like, if you want to talk about what you want in a knife, I will design my own flair. And so this guy just wouldn't leave. And so we had fun with him. He just stopped mid-sentence at one point. He goes, hold on. And he left and went and got another beer and came back. And I said, you know what? I was like, here, take this piece of paper. Here's a pen. Draw what it is that you... And he drew something that does... I'll send a picture to you guys later. I kept it. It's hilarious. We sat and watched this guy doodle on a piece of paper. And then he handed it back to me. He was like, all right, cool. I'll take a look at it and I'll text you. He was so drunk, he doesn't remember the fact that he never gave me his phone number or anything like that. I don't even know his name. And I was just like, sounds good, buddy. Move on to another table.
Adios.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a lot of lack of pride and integrity and self-respect.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things like the easiest way to explain is would be to a hunter, right? You wouldn't grab somebody else's shoulder mount of a 10-point buck and put it in your house, okay? If you're a hunter, you wouldn't do
I've done that. I've done that with fish. I had a huge muskie. No, let me finish.
but
Let me
I
finish.
knew it.
I had a.
I don't know
knew it.
about fishermen. I
Okay,
talk
same
about
thing. I
hunters
had a
here.
huge muskie that was mounted, and people would come into my office and say, "Wow, where did you catch that?" And I said, "I caught it on eBay for $50." So I can bag a buck on eBay for $130 and put it in my office.
Yeah, but see, you are a new hunter.
No, that's secondary
You just
hunting.
went hunting for
Secondary
the first time.
Secondary.
Okay.
Like a second
So-
kind of cool.
Yeah.
You know, all the antlers that I have mounted, because I live in a small apartment, I cannot have a shoulder mount, but I have the antlers mounted on a little shield with a little
Yeah, I
cover on
have
it.
some mounts like that.
And I will forward you guys a picture later. All of those, I bagged them. I put an arrow through them myself, up 20 feet off the ground with a bow or a crossbow or whatever happened to be the season, mostly with archery. I think 99% of them were archery.
Hey,
Okay, I did it myself.
one thing-
Same thing with the
If
knife.
there's one thing
Like
you need to
Rambo
know
from
about
Same thing with
Otis
the
here,
knife.
there's one thing you need to know about Otis here. He keeps what he kills, and he mounts it on the wall.
He uses it, yeah.
Hey guys, let's listen to one of the guys helping us to pay for this podcast. Let's move into that. We'll be right back.
All knife makers need abrasives, plain and simple. Here at Knives Templars, we're proud to partner with Phoenix Abrasives. I used to get my belts from another company, but they spent more time on marketing than they did customer service, sometimes taking 2+ weeks to ship my order. That's not the case with Phoenix Abrasives. They're obsessed with committing all of their resources to customer satisfaction. Whether you're using a 2x72, 2x42, 1x30, or something else, they've got you covered. They even carry Rhino Wet sandpaper. So go to phoenixabrasives.com/shop and enter promo code Templars10 for 10% off your next order.
So
Oh yeah. Here.
So, Chip, tell us about your turkey hunting.
All right, let's just kind of
Oh yeah, your Tom Berenger trip.
yeah, let's just kind of start talking.
Yeah, 'cause you showed us some pictures, man. I was like, I hope he gets something, man. I hope he gets something. I was really rooting for you, man. You have no idea. Because I know that the moment you would have seen that gobbler coming your way, you would have been shaking like
I would have
like
lost
a leaf
my.
in the
had
wind.
BPS.
I would have had that, and I would have
Yes.
lost my
Definitely would
bladder.
have had BPS.
No, so hey, yeah, I bought a Remington 870 back in 2003 or so, and I bought a rifled barrel with it and a scope, and I was going to go deer hunting when I lived up in Michigan. You couldn't have a rifle. There we go. Excuse me. I'm 57,
That's
man.
a good reason to leave that state.
Couldn't have a rifle in the lower peninsula, so you had to use shotguns down there. Anyway, so when I came down here, I've been watching guys going hunting for years, and it's been eating at me. The only thing I hunted for growing up was golf balls because my dad was a golfer, and but I had cousins that hunted, and I've always wanted to do it. Of course, I've been involved in fishing for a long, long time, and I finally just decided to take the plunge this year, and I went out and bought a Benelli shotgun, and I went out and bought a Ruger 308, and so with the intent of turkey hunting and starting to deer hunt. So I had the opportunity with one of the nicest people I know invited me to go to his deer camp, which I believe is about 4,000 acres and about 25 green fields. And we drove down there last Friday night, and I was going to stay in his camper on one side, and they said, no, such and such said you can stay in his room. So they had a house on the property, which was probably an 80 to 100-year-old sharecropper house, a two-room house. And when I went in there, and I'm gracious to have had it, but when I went in there, the window was open and had been open for I don't know how long. So I slept all night on top of a futon, and just in case a rattlesnake went slithering across the floor, at least I would see him. But so I didn't sleep that well that night, not so much about the rattlesnake, just eager to go. So I got up at 5:30 and went out there and set up to turkey hunt that day. And I sat there in the dark, and being a backpacker and a camper, there's nothing more wonderful than, waking up in a hammock and just watching the sun come up and just the sounds of the forest coming alive. And in this particular case, same situation, except you've gone out there in the dark with snake boots on this time, and sitting there watching the forest come to life from being pitch black to everything. So I waited about an hour, and I was using a box call because as a new hunter, I was praying for 9-year-old luck, but a 9-year-old boy's luck, but I didn't get it that day. I waited about an hour, and I made a call. And you don't want to overcall turkey. I've watched enough videos and talked to enough hunters that I know that had me geared in on I was making the right sounds and how often to do it. And right after I made that first call, a second call, I got a couple gobbles back. Oh, I was so excited. There was a turkey coming in for my first day and my first hunt. And I didn't hear anything the rest of that day, the rest of that morning, I should say. So, but I enjoyed it. And before I left there, I was already hooked. I think you guys saw. Thank goodness for cell phones and all that, because you can record your experience and send all your buddies play-by-play on what's taking place. But I went to, I gathered my stuff, and I was on a walkout. And I set up the decoys where the guy was going to pick me up. And I went and walked in, and I went over to a place where I could shoot the gun because I wanted to shoot it. And I fired off a shot and looked around a little bit, and I was walking back out of there. Didn't know I was going back down to hunt a little bit later, but I ended up doing that. I'll be there in a minute. But I walked back out, and he's parked like 100 yards up at the road, and my phone is on silent because I was hunting, but it's buzzing in my leg. And as I'm walking up, it's just buzzing and buzzing and buzzing. And as I get closer, he starts to drive down because I had put the decoys out where he was going to pick me up, and I just put them in their rods and left them there, and in the wind they were kind of turning and moving around, and he thought there were 2 turkeys standing right where he was going to pick me up. And I go over there and I just pick up the 2 turkeys and put them under my arm. So we got a good laugh out. We got a great laugh out of that.
That's a new way to hunt
I
'em.
think that's a great way to play. Well, he had seen some turkeys. This was on a power line where the state maintains it, and he had seen some turkeys come through there before. So he just knew that, I needed to come through there screaming and yelling and blow them turkeys away. But so I took a nap, ate some food, treated me very well, and we went back out. And I was walking back out to my second hunt in the afternoon. And as I was walking around into the green field, and I was walking slow and quiet, of course, you've got all your gear with you, and right 10 feet in front of the blind I was going to set behind, there was a hen there. And as soon as I moved around the corner, she saw me. She flew off at 30 degrees and up into a tree. And of course, I'm texting going, "I see a bird! I see a bird!" Young, early in the evening, new hunter. I see a bird. They're all around me. They got to be. So they said, "Yeah, go sit down in there. Just sit down, wait about 30 minutes, and start calling as we've taught you to." So I did that, and I didn't hear anything the rest of the day. And as the sun was going down, I gathered up my stuff. And in the course of this last week, I've already put my name in on hunting clubs to get in on hunting clubs. I'm possibly going turkey hunting Saturday morning on a friend's property over in the wildlife management area here, or not right next to it, and I am teetotally hooked. So what I discovered, hunting, it's nice to kill something and or take, harvest something and put it in the freezer, but and just like fishing, it's really not about being successful in the kill. It's really, now if you're trying to feed your family, I understand. But in the sport, just experiencing the getting ready, the being involved, the deer camp, the hunting camp, and all that is just the coolest experience. And I got to wear face paint while I was at it because I found out that it's turkey season and I couldn't find a net to put over my head. I could only find balaclavas. And when I would pull it up like a COVID mask over my face, my glasses kept fogging up, so I couldn't see to shoot if I had to. So I went to the grease paint on the face and got the real cool Tom Berenger Duck Dynasty sci photos. So that was my turkey trip, and hopefully I'll be successful on Saturday if I can get back in the woods. The end.
Man, it's
It
awesome.
was,
Hunting is awesome.
The first time I do harvest an animal, I'm sure that it will be shaking and shivering and just excitement, galore. The good news is, and I am, as an old guy, Chris, one of the things I enjoy is the happiness of young people, like you, Chris. You winning your award this weekend, you young fella. But my good friend in North Carolina, he's in his late 30s. His uncle, who took him hunting when he was a child, and helped him kill his first bird, was with him and his son on his first turkey hunt this weekend. So not only was the uncle there, his dad was, and his son killed his first turkey, which was a wonderful photo. And I'll see if I can't share the video from you because it's on Facebook. But in addition to that, my friend, the father of this young man, got his 2 turkeys on Friday and Saturday, killed both turkeys.
So that's awesome.
It was awesome.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Now people can't see. Let's see. I'm sitting here. Oh, there's some videos coming through. I'm supposed to look at these videos.
The rest of us are busting out laughing because I just sent a picture of Tom Berenger in face paint to our group chat.
You put a beard on that man, and
There's not a beard on him. There's not a beard on him, but
Hey, Photoshop your own face on that. You're good at Photoshop.
I'm telling you.
That's your new
Tom Berenger.
that's your new
Tom
Facebook
Berenger.
avatar.
He's one sexy dude.
Coming to hunting styles and turkeys and deer and whatnot, I found the most modern camos don't really do what they're supposed to. Okay, we're going off on a tangent
We can
here,
talk
a little
about anything
bit
and
off
everything.
track. I found, for me personally, a some kind of a light brown or some kind of a gray colored clothes will work way better than hunting camel. If you ever notice the coloration of a deer in the fall is some sort of a brownish color, light brown, especially here in Maryland. And depending on the hour, you have that gray hour, half hour before sunrise and after, half hour before sunset. Everything looks kind of gray. Anyways, the trees lose colors and stuff. And you can only really see them real clear when they're moving. If they're just stopped and they're, not moving at all, you can glance right over them, and sometimes you will not see them. And they're not wearing, hunter's camo. They're just wearing, their natural browns in there, man. So I stop wearing hunter's camo, and I have some brown clothing and some gray clothing as well for that purpose.
Real quick. So for the first minute of you explaining what you just explained, I was trying to figure out what the heck a hunter's camel was. And I was sitting here going, where did this come from? A hunter's camel? Do those exist? You were saying hunter's camel.
In Brazil,
there.
that's how they hunt, right? They bring the camel.
On that photo has some hunter's camel, because you have the traditional military camel, with the old fatigues and whatever with different patterns. But then you go to Bass Pro and you have all these different patterns for, you're hunting on the marsh or you're hunting on a woodland or whatever, right? And they charge a premium for that thing. It's unbelievable. I've seen some hunting jackets go for $500.
Well, no, Grandpa used
some kind of a magic jacket that can go the deer and bring it home for you, right? For $500, I stay home. Hey, jacket, go get me a deer. Come on.
Well, Grandpa used to hunt.
What about the hot
overalls.
pink ones, though? Do those work?
The what?
The hot pink ones. Does that pattern work? No. Hot pink
as far as I know, you could be dressed as a tomato because they don't really see red.
Don't see color.
Deer don't see red. Don't. So I had this guy tell me, "Oh, deer don't see red." So I told him, "Okay, can I use a Santa suit and climb a tree? They won't see me up there, right?"
Otis here in a Santa
So why
suit.
you selling me camel? You're selling me camel, and you tell me they don't see red. Why don't you make me a red hunting suit? Come on.
Heat treat your next knife in a Santa suit while holding Planky.
Woody.
Woody, yeah, I got him over there in my drawer. So it's a lot of things. There is a lot of things that I've learned over time here that is unique to the American way of thinking, right? Is unique to this. You go hunting in Brazil or different countries. I see guys going with blue jeans and whatever clothes they happen to have at the time when they grabbed their old beat-up shotgun and went into the woods, right? But when I came here, the first time I went hunting, dude, it was a shock. It was a shock.
You do realize
really nice. These companies have great marketing departments.
You don't look as cool.
Yeah.
You don't look as cool when you go in and come out of the forest or stop at the McDonald's on your way to the forest because that there's a cool factor there. But I always told people that fishing lures aren't designed to catch fish; they're designed to catch fishermen. A lot of things with marketing is the very same way. And I've done that with people. That little friend that you've got. I used to do that with people, especially when we're on top water, break a stick off a tree, and I always had lure making stuff, stuck in my boat, screw eyes and stuff like that. Put some eyes in it and throw some hooks on it and go popping it across the water and catch a bass on a stick, you broke off of a tree. So, Grandpa used to hunt in his overalls and a old jacket. So, it's a cool factor. Everybody wants to look the part. You want the uniform.
No. The only one product I can say with 100% guarantee that I've used and it worked. Two actually. One is a little thing you put it over your head, a little machine that produces some ozone, and that will cut the amount of stink you put out. Okay, a little ozone shower over your body. And there is another product which is a spray. It's called Nose Jammer. I use that and I had deer come pretty much right under my tree stand, and they, never even noticed I was there.
I thought he was going to
But
say
as the other stuff that I had before, none of them seemed to work as advertised. So,
I thought he was going to say he
it was
applied a
kinda
couple drops of
disappointing,
Pinto
actually.
sauce. A couple drops
Yeah.
of Pinto sauce before he goes out in the woods.
Let me tell you something. If you want to hunt hogs, you grab an old rag and you dip it on Pinto sauce and you wrap it around the stump. They will come and rub on it. Guaranteed. So it's not only good for quenching knives, but hunting hogs as well.
Well, there you go.
See, I always thought that maybe Pinto, I thought you were going to say, like, you saw the episode of When Animals Attack and the guy that poured deer estrus all over himself and got, beat
I
up by
saw
the
that.
deer.
That was fun.
Anyway, any other guys hunt? Joey, Chris?
Yeah.
Eric?
Oh, well, of course I hunt. I'm from Louisiana.
Well,
Sportsman's
you hunt
paradise.
crayfish.
Gators.
No, well, what
Gators.
have you hunted for?
Shoot 'em.
What have you
Shoot 'em.
hunted for?
Small
Shoot 'em,
game.
shoot 'em.
Small game. Rabbit, squirrel, doves,
Nutria?
quail. Yeah, man. Louisiana has like a headhunter's fee on those things. You get like $5 a pop for a pelt.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, but
I heard it was the tail. $5 per tail.
or that. Yeah.
Or that. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
I've seen swamp people. They hunt everything.
oh yeah. But but
They eat everything,
Yeah,
too.
I hunt deer. Yeah, deer, hog. All your usual. I like to. I
Eric.
would like to. I would like to do a hog hunt out of a helicopter. That would be cool.
Oh, yeah. I've seen
Texas does that, and that looks fun.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
they're super invasive here. I haven't been hunting a lot. My dad and grandfather grew up hunting, but when I was born, they kind of stopped and didn't do much. But I've been hog hunting and put a couple out of their misery because there's the hogs here. This was some sow that probably had 4 litters in a year of 6 piglets or something. I mean, we put her out of her misery.
Yeah.
She was pretty thin, but no, it's I've been a couple times. I'd love to do more of it. My best friend hunts squirrels out of his front yard. He sends me a text today and he goes, "The
do in my
truce is
backyard."
over." He goes, "The truce is over." And I go, what are you talking about? And he goes, the great peace treaty of the squirrels and me for 2022 is over. He goes, "I just killed my first one today." What is he called it? The squirrel human winter ceasefire. It's over. He goes, "This squirrel," he sits there and he works from home. He sits there in his home office and he's got, his little pellet gun. And he's like, he sits there and watches these squirrels and they go towards the bird feeder. And he's like, don't you
Is
dare.
his shooting
Don't
house
you
his
get near the
office
bird
with the
feeder.
window?
Do it.
His shooting house is his
And he
office with
basically
the
will
window?
just kind of walk out on the porch, and if one of them touches the bird feeder, and he's gone all year without one, since last fall, since one touched the bird feeder, and apparently one got there today, so he took him out of squirrel.
I might have to get me a mighty fine pellet gun and a scope so I can do some hunting in my camouflage in the backyard. We got lots of
Off the back patio.
We got lots of squirrels.
Benjamin. Got one of those Benjamins. That's a pretty good little pellet gun. Having it for you.
Slingshot too. Huh?
Yeah, there you
I
go,
can't see that.
slingshot, Eric. Yeah, that works.
Eric's a
Oh yeah, my
slingshotter.
son has.
No,
a-
I'd love to
you-
do more of it. I'd love to do more. I just
Oh,
Oh wow!
I've always been
Eric, did you make that crossbow
the-
you're
the-
showing us, or
the crossbow.
it's cool?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
kind
my
of
son
ridiculous.
Did you make
uses
that
a
crossbow?
slingshot.
Like it's awesome. I love crossbows and stuff like that. I did not make this. I purchased this because
Yeah.
it's a lot more accurate than one that I would make. I do make my own bolts though.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I like that episode on Forge and Fire when they made those.
The crossbow. That was
yeah,
cool.
that was cool. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I do make mini ones. So they have little ones that you can make out of like hair barrettes and stuff like that. But I make them out of saw blades. So like I'll double stack the saw blades and it'll shoot I'll take little dowel rods and put points on them, or I'll put needles in them or pins in them or whatever, and it'll shoot like 30 yards, and the thing's like only 6 inches long, the overall length of it, and it'll shoot like 30 yards and stab into stuff. It's nuts.
My daughter got one time when we went somewhere. It was a wooden one that this guy had made, and he had like the synthetic guitar string and everything. And you pull it back, and
Yep.
he gave us these dowels that had rubber erasers on the end, right? But we got it home, and sure enough, we put a sharpened pencil in it. In the garage, we fired it off. It stuck in the sheetrock.
Well, I made a PVC.
It worked.
I made a PVC trebuchet that I could fire stuff across the fence in my backyard.
Oh yeah, I made a potato gun out of PVC.
I made PVC bow and arrows. Well, both, right? And
Yeah, there's that's cool.
We're
Eric's
all
showing
knife
us his
guys,
bolts.
and we all like knives. How many of us are gun guys?
Well, I've got the two I mentioned. I'm getting ready to buy.
There you go, Eric.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to buy a SIG. So, got to sell a few knives, and I'll be buying a SIG.
Yeah, I have a few.
The shelf that's next to me is like a few different AR parts. I've got my different sights and scopes and my cleaning box, and up above me right there is my actual cleaning setup for my rifles.
Mm-hmm.
Right up there, and oh yeah.
Do you hunt or just target shoot?
Both. If y'all have ever watched my videos, of course, to the left of me, I've got one of my 22s
targets
that I built and did all that stuff with like a whole bunch of Volquarts and everything.
Nice.
Did all the trigger stuff. Did everything that you could possibly do to it, barrel, and this thing, I'll sight it in 100 yards, 150 yards, and do like, quarter size groups.
Oh,
And,
wow.
It's
cool.
It's bananas, man.
I think I've had 3 or 4.
I have a Clark's custom Ruger 22. It's pretty accurate.
Nice. I've had 3 or 4 deals lined up where customer wants a knife and they want to trade for a gun. Whether some of them are FFL dealers or whatever. I've had 4 now, and every single one of them has fallen through. It's I make a good deal, but then the person ends up backing out of the deal. So one of these days, I guess I'll actually make a trade.
Talking about backing out deals, have you ever had a customer that wanted you to make a nice custom knife? They pick handle material, pick how they wanted the blade to look, and then back out, like basically be a no-show?
Sure. Yeah, so the way I normally handle it is I take all their information. So say I was at this show, right? And I'm going to take all their information, which, by the way, my wife told me I need to actually print out a form, right, that folks can fill out, because I'm just writing it on the back of a piece of paper. But get all the information that they want, and I tell them I'll add them to my list. And then when it comes time for me to start, I'll message them again and say, hey, I'm going to start working on a batch of knives. Yours is going to be a part of that. Are you still interested? And if it's a knife that I know I can resell no problem, and it's basic materials, I typically won't take a deposit. If it's something that's very unique, they want a custom pin or some unique handle material. I made a knife one time that's a Colorado Avalanche themed knife. So it's got like maroon and blue, and it's got an avalanche pin.
Yuck,
no way I'm selling that knife.
I would have never made an avalanche.
No way I'm selling that, right, to anybody else.
Right.
But for those, I'll take a deposit. But I've got one right now where a guy, man, if he's listening, I'd love for him to reach out to me, because he came and he ordered 3 knives from me at, there were 3 knives. There was he wanted 3 knives for when he goes deer hunting. And I think I've told you guys this before. He wanted one that was like a camp knife, a bigger knife, something that he could, split the breastplate with if he needed to, not baton.
Oh, yeah, I
with his
remember,
hand.
yeah.
He wanted one that was more of a Skinner, right? Mm-hmm. And then he wanted one that he called the anus knife. And, he said that his dad always taught him to, or his grandfather always taught him to clean a deer through the anus. So you hang him up, and that's what he wanted, basically a little scalpel.
I'm picturing Ace Ventura birthing out of the rhino's rear.
That's right. Yes. and he was explaining it, and holding his pinky up like the way I drink my tea now that I'm an award winner. and cutting around the anus, right? And but he wanted these 3 knives, and it's so I said I took a deposit from him that day too, and I have his email, I have his phone number, and I've designed them out and I've drawn them, and I've said, hey, I'm ready to start working on these. Exactly, Eric. I was like, I'm ready to start working on these, but I can't get the guy to reply. So I don't know what to do now. Is I've got his deposit, and I'll give him I normally give him a week, and if he doesn't reply, then I just move him to the next batch.
I can't get Ace Ventura coming out of the back end of the Rhino with a anus knife.
Dude, have you ever
Real
seen
quick,
those
just
kits they sell? Well, it's like a butt plug for a deer.
Sorry,
bought one
Joey,
of those
that
ones.
just doesn't ring a bell.
I bought one of those ones. They call the butt out.
The butt out, yes. See, Otis here
Yeah,
knows what
I
I'm talking
had
about.
one of those.
Otis here
Of
knows
course
what I'm
That's how they
talking about.
remove hemorrhoids in the hospital, by the way. It's a hemorrhoid removal tool.
I'm looking at this thing. I'm like, dude, what do you do with this?
I'm afraid to Google this right now.
Is that the title for the video or for the podcast or what?
Butt out.
Holy
But
cow.
no, I haven't had anything where I haven't been
Deer
stuck with a
butt
knife.
plug,
Let's put it
so
that
butt
way.
out.
Oh man, I haven't been stuck with one where somebody ends up requesting something very specific that I haven't been able to sell. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I had one.
Yeah.
I had one.
I got a guy that
I
just
showed
done
him. I showed him the design of the knife. I showed him the handle material, and it was stabilized wood. And in the middle, I had some orange resin, cast resin there. A beautiful, beautiful handle, man. And I really like that knife. And it just poof disappeared, vanished on me, right? And when I finally was able to make contact, can you change that orange section there for red? Yo, come on, man! I showed you the handle material. I put it in your hands before I even started working on the knife. Now you come with this, right? You know what? Screw off. Leave it alone. I don't want to sell you anything anymore. Forget it.
Yeah.
So I took that knife and I gifted it to my brother. I still have it. It's in his house now. It's a beautiful knife made out of 80 CRV2. Also another monster Bowie size knife. And man, that was the first one so far, and luckily the first and only one so far. But people will do that. My teacher said always take a deposit on commission.
Well, Chris,
And if the person walks out, you get to keep his
Deposit.
deposit and tell him to
Chris,
bug
you know
off.
that piece of green micarta honeycomb I sent you?
yeah.
That was the result of somebody changing their mind. So I just changed my mind and didn't make the knife after that. I was like, I spent money on that, and now, it is what it is. Who else wants that? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna chime in just to hear on the commission and the deposit thing. So I do not take any deposits on any of the knives that I make, because if I'm gonna choose to make a knife, it's gonna be something that I might want to keep, or I'll sell to someone else or something like that. But the only reason why I don't do it is because, with me not being a full-time knife maker or somebody who can make a ton of knives because of the YouTube and all that stuff, as soon as you take money from someone, they could be the nicest person on the planet, and as soon as you take money from them, no matter what they say, you can build it 3 years from now. As soon as they give you money, their internal clock starts ticking, because anybody does. As soon as you pay for something on the internet, you want that bad boy tomorrow.
You're checking for the shipping update.
yeah. Why haven't they
Like
sent
an
me
hour
that
later.
tracking number?
No doubt.
As a matter of fact, let me check
Yeah.
mine. I have some.
So-
Yeah, by the way, Joey, I didn't get that package in the mail today. I'm gonna do that tomorrow.
All right, cool.
stuff like that. And I had a friend that was a fellow YouTuber, and he's since then deleted his channel and he's not doing YouTube anymore. But he had asked me to. He had a situation happen. He didn't have access to his shop anymore, or his tools, and he had 3 knives that were pieces that he was going to be selling, and he had started them but hadn't been able to finish them. And he asked me, hey, would you just be able to finish these? One of them already had handle skills on it, still needed to be profiled and, edge and all that stuff. And the other two still needed to be, they needed handle scales that he didn't have handle scales for. And I was like, hey, I've got handle scales. I'll go ahead and wrap them up for you. And he was like, hey, cool. And I'll just throw in some money just for it. And I didn't ask for any money. I didn't want any money from it. And he was like, I'll just throw money in there. Don't worry about it. You can pay for the skills that you're going to get. You just take your time. I'm in no rush. They're not sold or anything like that. And I was like, okay, I can do them, but it's going to take me like 2.5 months whenever I chose to do this, I was doing the daily vlogs. So I did the vlogs for 72 days in a row, and I was trying to do all that. And I told him, it's going to be like 2.5 months. Well, a month and a half into it, I've already finished one of the knives, and I was just about to start on the other two. And he's already messaging me, dude, I gave you money for this. Why haven't you started? I'm a paying customer now since I gave you money. And I'm thinking, what are you talking about? This is crazy. So I could have just said, screw you, and sent the stuff back to him. I finished them, sent them back to him, sent the money back to him, and said, I don't want any part of this. If this is the way this is going to be, I was just trying to help you out. But if you're going to go that direction with it, man, I don't want any part of it. And I just sent the stuff. They were finished, but I was just, from that point forward, I do not take money from people until I complete the thing, or until I am, let's say if I set the commission up and I'm about 2 weeks out from completing it, I'll say, okay, cool. Here's, you can pay me on my website, or you can, however you want to pay me, you can do part of it now if you want to, and then I'll complete it or whatever. But most of the time people are just like throwing money at you, because they want to, they're like, hey, can you build this? Here's the money.
They want
now.
to speed up the process.
Yes.
If I give you more money, if I give you all of it up front, will you work on it, right now?
Yeah.
You should have etched his name into
like I
the
said,
blades, but misspelled it by one letter or something.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Like I said, I don't take that. I don't take the deposit unless I'm, like I said, it's something very unique, and I won't do it until I start, right? And I let them know. It's like, hey, are you still interested? I'm going to start. It will be delivered within a month, and I set that clear expectation before I do that, because I don't want to take too much money up front, because then there's also not that reward when you're done. Right? People that take 50% up front. Yeah. Now when you get paid, you're like, oh, I did all that work, and you feel like you only got paid half, right? But you did get the whole
whenever
amount.
I go full-time knife making, I will most likely do that, because right now my knife making isn't what pays my bills. If it is what pays the bills, then you got to do it, because why wouldn't you?
You got to buy stuff. You got to
at least for material cost.
Yes, you have to do stuff like that.
Well, you're going to see more of a constant money flow at that point, though, as well, not just as you're making.
Right. I'm definitely going to take some of these things into consideration, because I may have to change the way I do these transactions.
The way I've been doing as well right now has been just I make whatever I want to make, and then I put it up.
Yeah.
And if you're interested, you get it. If you don't, it will sit for a while, but eventually I will sell it. And that way I don't have to be working on in a specific order. I had this guy contact me on Instagram. Oh, can you make me a knife like this, a chef's knife that cuts on like a dagger on both sides? So, man, that is not I could probably work something out like that, but it's not something that you really want. People generally don't know what they want.
You said a chef knife that looks like a dagger?
Can you give me a chef knife with a screwdriver on the end? I don't want to be
and a bottle opener?
And he cuts on going one way and cuts coming back, right? So, I mean, a basically a double-edged chef's knife, right? So, I mean, in a case like this, I don't even take anything. I didn't take it. So you know what? I will make something. And I'll forward you some pictures if you like.
You should have said,
pick
can
it
I
up.
interest you in a Ronco Darth Maul? It slices,
No, you
it
should've said-
dices, it pokes.
And
Should have said.
I had a guy.
and
Let me
now with
reference
these
you to my
pieces of
friend Tom Berenger.
some eye that is coming in, I'll be making something, and I'll forward him some pictures. If he likes, he can come
He can make
and
it for
buy
you.
it. If not, I'll just sell
Let
it
me
to
ask you
someone
guys
else.
a
So
couple.
somebody at the show was.
I was gonna say, let me ask you guys
I
a
was gonna
couple
say-
knife making questions real quick. That is going to assist me.
Pinto
Okay,
Sauce.
I've already got that part down, and I'm making an extra pinto-y batch. I'm adding some jalapenos to it. But anyway, so you guys have
I'm sorry. Can you say that one more time? What were you going to add to it?
some extra. What did I say I was going to add to it?
Jalapenos.
Jalapenos and
What's a jalapeno?
Eric, you think that's funny too, right? Because Eric's from Texas. You think that's funny too, right? Like
Yes.
you hear it, right?
what's that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
What's a jalapeno?
Yeah. Exactly. I don't know what a jalapeno
you
is
mean
either.
you-
I know what a jalapeno.
You mean a jalapeno?
Jalapeno.
There you go.
You mean a jalapeno?
That's that. That's that.
Jalapenos.
That's that. You know.
Jalapenos.
Go ahead, Chip. Sorry, I didn't mean to derail you.
Or a jalapeno.
Anyway, I'm gonna add some extra
It's like
jalapenos.
It's like if any of us try to pronounce half the dishes in Louisiana, Joey's gonna be like, "What did you just
Well, I
say?"
won't even mention the hot sauce I'm going to put in it because y'all will rail me. Anyway, hey, this one knife I'm getting ready to make. You guys have done rough grinds before and left them rough. So when you do that, what are you typically? Are you at 36 or 40, or what are you rough grinding at?
So 36 grit and typically a new belt, not a worn one, because you want the striations that you're trying to achieve. If you're trying to do it in a good looking way,
Right.
you want them to be nice and deep, and then to stand out and be uniform as you're going through.
Yes.
If your belt's kind of worn, it won't put those deep striations in there.
Now, what
if
about
you're just
you
looking for? Go
Do
ahead.
you change belts? So when you do the other side, you get a new belt, or is the one belt typically good for?
Take the belt off and reverse it.
Yes.
Yeah. So
No, seriously.
you
Oh,
flip
okay,
it.
cool.
You get more. You get about 15%.
That's going against the
more life
arrows there,
out of
Chris. You can't go. against
Never
the
pay
arrows.
attention to the arrows.
Never.
The arrows
Yeah.
don't mean anything.
So I'm going to be real with you right now. This is a trick. If you want similar plunge lines, you flip your belt.
That's wild. I
Because-
had no idea. There's a Templar tip.
because- yes.
Yep.
You flip your belt.
Oh, wow.
100%.
That's new to me, too.
Didn't
Yep.
know that.
And-
That is so cool. Well, I just got an extra
Now-
25-30% out of my belts.
Yeah, because the edge
Now,
on
Eric-
one side of the belt may be not be like the other
Yeah,
side.
the cutting
so-
edge on the
correct.
other side isn't worn away.
Round
On the
or
yeah.
sharp.
Yeah.
Correct.
Now I haven't
Talking
noticed
about,
that with
an even plunge line on both sides.
What's
you could have different tracking, right? The belt's not tracking evenly, or you end up with fraying on one end. But
Hey guys, what was your source of inspiration when you first decided to make knives? Many go to the books and also some go to the web, but many also head to YouTube for videos. Well, we are fortunate enough to have Eric Rivers from the Rivers Experience as a co-host on the Knives Templars. But you know what? He's also a sponsor, and I tell you, 27,000 followers can't be wrong in following his skilled and educational regular videos that teach the fine arts of making beautiful knives. I know because I'm a subscriber to his channel, and I learned at my pace and without making those mistakes by walking in the dark regarding knife making. Be sure and check out his channel, The Rivers Experience, on YouTube, or his website at theriversexperience.com. And now back to our show.
I 100% agree with you. So I've used all of the Norton Blazes. I've used, you got the incinerator and the shredders and all that stuff, but I've used the different belts, and I'm telling you right now, those Phoenix belts are absolutely epic. I used one of those belts
one?
for all the incinerator.
the purple boras, the incinerators, yeah.
Yes. So the incinerator.
Oh, yeah.
I used it for all 8 bevels on the dagger. So all 8 bevels,
Yeah.
26-inch overall length, craziness, and it is still sharp as crazy. Like I could grind another 10 knives
yeah.
with that thing.
Now,
Oh yeah.
that belt kind of like the one Pop sells?
Yes.
It's made by VSM.
Made by VSM. Yeah, there's a number.
Yeah.
You can get it from a number of different suppliers.
dude.
Phoenix is
Yeah, do you mind posting a link
All these
later
knives
on?
I've been profiling, like I've been using the same belt.
yeah.
Yes. So
Yeah.
they were developed by Broadbeck. So the
Right.
the belt
Okay.
that you're using for the Phoenix and all that stuff, the VSM ones. So those were developed by Broadbeck. I got a bunch of belts from Broadbeck too, but I was talking to the guys, and yeah, they developed that belt to just be an absolute beast, and it is so good, so good.
And the prices come down a little bit because they're able to do larger batches now, right? The first
Yeah.
run, they were a little more expensive. I mean, they're more expensive
Well-
than a Cubitron.
Well, think
If
about
you,
it this way,
if
though.
you get
that
some-
belt,
If you get
that-
some
that
coarse
belt
sand,
puts so much work in, so crazy.
if you get some coarse sand from Lowe's, can you recoat your belts using some Pinto Sauce as an adhesive?
Soak your belts in
That would
Pinto
be too
sauce.
much.
Watch the sparks fly.
Do it outside.
So
No,
when it,
go ahead.
I'll
Well,
tell
Eric-
you when it
Eric,
when,
when
it
you do
comes
those-
to when it comes to your budget, whenever you're thinking about the cost of belts and stuff like that, it's a lot of people will think $7.95 or $11 or $10 is expensive, but you make one knife with that belt and you've paid yourself back. And you're automatically going to make more than one knife. And that's the same thing for people who only want to use reusable material or reused materials like 5160 from Leaf Springs and all those different things.
Oh yeah, what junk
Still-
material? What junk steel can I start with?
Yes, steel is so cheap. Like when it comes down to it, for what you're going to
Yeah.
sell the knife for, you can buy not name brand, but known steel for
Exactly.
super cheap. If you want to buy a 4-foot strip of Pops 8670 right now, that is some of the least expensive steel on the market and just easy to
Oh,
get treat.
show. Oh,
It's
show.
crazy.
Yeah,
It's
one
crazy.
one of the best tips that I ever heard was from Jason Knight that said, and I've heard it from other guys too, but Jason Knight said, use the belts like you own the company.
Yeah.
Yep.
Use belts, use fresh belts, use the belts like you own the company. And of course, I say that, but I've got probably 50 belts in my shop right now that all need to be thrown away.
They usually
Me
get
too.
cut
Yeah,
up and
me too.
turned into detailing and handle sanding belts, and eventually they go out when there's nothing else left.
Now on the belt topic, I have a good question for you that do the finishing on the belts, because I do all my finishing now on hand sanding. I will do my profile grind, I will bevel it, everything, and then my last belt usually is a 120. After that, I will hand sand everything from 220 all the way to whatever finish I want. You typically end at 600 and do a satin finish with a Scotch Brite pad, or I can go up to 2000 and then buff it to a mirror finish.
I do.
Chris, I've
I
seen
do almost
you do a lot of
exclusively.
finishing.
I do almost exclusively belt finish now, unless it's custom requested to do a hand sanded finish. So I typically will go 36, 60, 120. I'll use from there. I'll switch over to I don't like super crisp lines like on all my plunge lines and my all that. That's one look that some people like. I like it all kind of blended and smooth, and I think it looks better. So I'll typically then put on a soft platen. So I've got one that has an old Scotch Brite belt that I've glued to it with some spray adhesive, maybe a leather backer on top of that. I've got one that uses industrial wool. It acts like a rotary platen. And I'll go in then with 220. And then maybe a 400, and then I'll move through the Scotch Brite progressions. So I'll go through a maroon, and then a blue, the light blue, and then the gray. I typically also will hit a little bit of WD-40 on that belt while it's moving, that Scotch Brite belt, and
Yeah,
it'll
I've done that too.
smooth that finish out. I am going to try a couple of different things though. I was talking to Neil Warren from Maximus Knives at the last show. And he was saying that Phoenix, we were talking about Phoenix, he uses Phoenix, and they've got these compact grain belts. They have a 220 and a 300 or something like that, 240 and 320. And he was talking about how nice those are to minimize belt bump. So I may be able to try that. I ordered some of those. I'm going to try the 240 while working with my regular platen. And then I've also ordered some cork belts. So they have some cork belts. They had like a 400, a 600, and an 800, I think, that are loaded up. They're already preloaded with whatever compound. And so I want to try those just to have an alternative to the Scotch Brites. But I find it's great. Also, then if you get a little scratch, it's easy to clean up right before. And one of the reasons I do it is because I want folks to use my knives, right? I want them to, beat them, abuse them, use them all the time, and then be able to send them back to me. I resharpen any knife I make for life, right? Unless the guy decides he wants to like baton, granite. But I'll, or, slide down a hill with his leather sheath. So I'll end up,
is that the episode title? No batoning granite?
Don't baton granite. I'll have them send me the knife, and I'll give it a spa day, right? I'll, maybe hit the handle a little bit.
I like that.
I can remove the patina if they want. I can put it on the Scotch Brite belt. I can resharpen it. I can, oil it back up and send it back out. It's hard to do that on a hand sanded knife, right?
Yeah.
And not get J hooks up by the handle.
So the reason I asked is because I really want to speed up my process, right?
It will.
Hand sanding usually takes me about 3 to 4 hours, from 180 grit to my final grit, usually 600. Like this, viewers won't see it. Yeah, Ship is shaking his hand there. So this one, I did it on a Scotch Brite.
Yep.
And it's a pretty good usable finish that I wouldn't mind taking and beating into in the woods or cutting stuff and whatever you want to do with it. So it's a great finish. Yep.
Yeah.
Can you baton diamonds?
There you go. I just love the look of
the next question
finish.
I have for you, Chris, is what speed do you set your VFD when you're finishing? Because you already quenched it, you already tempered it, you put in the final touches in there, so you really don't want to overheat that blade.
It all depends also on whether or not you're using a fresh belt and the grit. If I'm going, I don't do a lot. On my chef knives, I do like no grinding before heat treat, right? Because it minimizes warps. And so I'll come in, I'm full tilt, 100% on a 36 grit, setting those initial bevels. Same thing with the 60, the 120. Another thing I like to do is I'll change the angle of the knife on the platen so I can actually see that it's removed the previous level scratches. So I'll tilt it a little bit one way or the other. Then once I'm getting into like the 220 and I start putting on the soft platen, I'm only probably going about 50%. And I'm spending real concentrated effort on I'm trying to get this spot. And then Scotch Brites, it's typically under 50%. It's 30 to 40%. They don't need to go fast. And I've had it catch, I wasn't paying attention too much, and I had it catch the tip of a knife, and it ripped that Scotch Brite and threw that knife right into my swarf bucket. And it was,
I
had BPS for like a week.
That's the episode.
I had BPS for a week. I had BPS for a week.
No, it's
BPS and a GoFundMe.
You've got that
for
VFD. You invested in that VFD. Use it, right? Slow down.
Typically,
I think
the higher
my
the grits.
first. That will be my next purchase right now. Yeah. So this week I got my first contact wheel. I got a 10-inch wheel. I bought it mostly because of my hidden tank blades and the handles that I put it in there.
Is it
it's gonna help me put.
Is it solid or does it have the tread?
Is it serrated?
It got treads on there.
Yeah,
it got
serrated.
treads.
Yeah, the tread.
Is that better?
I mean, I tell you what, you want to go. Say you're profiling a knife. You're just gonna rough profile in the shape. You take that serrated and you throw an old worn 36 grit on there, and you get it, positioned just right where it's even with your work rest, so that you're putting roughly a 90 degree, and you can hog material, especially when you're working with the ADS, and it's 5160, so it work hardens, so you can't profile on the portaband super easy. Man, you just leave. I'll leave like a 3/8 of an inch of steel on here, and I'll just and it'll just disappear.
So do you want
Gone.
which is the better wheel to have, the solid or the groove?
It depends on what you're using it
Really?
for. I like the grooved, the serrated, because it's going to dissipate heat.
Oh, okay.
Really
Yeah.
well. I think
I
if
have
you were
the
using
solid.
it for fine finishing, so if you were doing like say faceted handles and you were taking it up to say 1,000 grit with a J-Flex belt, like a zirconia belt or something, I think that's where you then want the solid.
Yeah, that's what I have.
Yeah, the main reason I purchased the wheel was there is a shape that I want to achieve on my hidden tang handles, and doing on this because right now I'm grinding them
Like
freehand
a Coke bottle
on
shape?
those little wheels that on top on the bottom of the platen. So it's a pain to do those contours that I want.
You're
man.
limited.
And
You get
You're
that
limited
10-inch
to-
very
contact
limited.
wheel,
Limited to
and you
those
can put
Geometries.
it makes putting in. You draw some lines on your handle, and you can put that Coke bottle shape in, no problem.
Yes.
like super fast.
Oh, yeah.
and it's even.
I
Notice
tried on a little piece of wood that I had in the shop. I only used it for about 5 minutes.
and then you carve
But
the face
those
into it.
5
Poor
minutes
guy.
told me a lot.
Notice here, is there any
Yeah,
possibility
you're gonna like that wheel.
any
You're gonna
possibility
really
of
like
you
that wheel.
donating that first knife to the BPS Foundation raffle?
We should probably all
Send me a
donate a
link.
knife to the BPS Foundation.
Needs a special handle material though.
Yeah.
Question number
yeah.
2 for me.
So my next purchase will be the VFD. VFD with the 2 horsepower
never
to
regret
put it
it.
on my grinder.
Never regret it.
So I just received
Don't
some
look back.
bone scales. They're probably cattle bone from out in some supplier out in Texas, and it's quality supplier. But I've noticed that I received them. They were rubber banded together, but one of the bones on each set's a little bit curved. Is that normal when you see that? Is it okay to go ahead and clamp them down and paint them a little bit, or should I? Because if I try and
Like-
flatten them out,
You can heat them. You can put them in an oven for at about 180 degrees for I don't know.
Outside in your garage, not your kitchen oven. Your wife will be
Yeah,
pissed.
it will stink up the place.
Yes.
But you can heat them up for a little bit, and get them nice and warm, and then you clamp them together.
Yep.
And they will
Oh,
even
cool.
out and let them
Yeah.
cool, and let them cool down in there. And then when you release it, it should
yeah, I
stay.
figured they were probably
Yeah.
flat at one time, and just being a natural
Pretty
material,
malleable.
humidity or whatever, just
Yeah.
caused them to curve just a little bit.
You can.
It's a best
What you
practice.
can also do is you can clamp it to the knife that you're gonna use it.
Yep.
Okay, put it in the oven for of course, lower than the temperature that you tampered with, so you won't screw up with the tempering and everything. And those bones will match perfectly with your handle, with your tang.
It's typically whatever the lowest setting. It's like the warm setting. It's normally like 150 to 170 degrees.
Yeah.
That's what you can also
I
maybe
will
use
not tell you how long. I cannot tell you how
Yeah,
long to keep it in there, but probably around 20 minutes or
I'll
so
look
should
it up.
be
That's
enough.
actually
Just gotta
wonderful
keep
because
checking on them.
I know people sometimes they'll straighten out a curve in a knife through the tempering cycle. So I should have thought about that.
Oh, I
So
do that all the
yeah.
time.
Well, I built that.
One of
that-
the-
Bone's
that-
pretty malleable.
go ahead, Eric.
Yeah, but here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. You should warm them up before you clamp it to the,
so you
the
don't stress
steel,
them.
Yeah.
right? So yeah. So it's kind of malleable a little bit, and then you put it on your tang, and then you squeeze them together. Let it cool down on the tang. You shouldn't really put the knife in the oven with the bone. Just put the bone in there, warm it up.
Yeah. I was just talking about
20, 30 minutes, take it out, put it in the tang, clamp it, and then it should be straight and perfectly matching with
I was
with
just
the
mentioning
tang.
that,
So
but I've
Chip-
done it the other way as well, just for steel. But anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry, Eric. You were saying.
So
Oh, yeah,
one, of
go
the,
ahead, Eric.
one of the other tricks that you can do is not just for bone, but you can also boil antler and straighten it. So if you get an antler piece that you really, really like, but it has a curve to it, you can put it, boil in water, put it in a little clamp or a little jig, and you can straighten that bad boy out and cut it into scales if you want to.
How
or-
long do you
use
boil
it
it
as-
for?
I mean,
Keep it,
you
man.
could boil it for 30 minutes. You can boil it
Oh,
for
okay.
10 minutes. You just want it to be to where you can clamp it. Depends on the size of the antler and stuff like that. But yeah,
Yeah.
you can
Well, you
boil
know-
it, put it in a jig, between
Yeah.
two pieces of angle iron and straighten it out and use it for a handle.
Well, I built that vise for quenching, so I don't have to do it in the tempering cycle, and it's working beautifully. But I think that's probably another place where I could stick this stuff to straighten it out.
Well, when you come to antler, right? The two last pieces that I made with antler, I picked up the antler at the pet store, and then I designed the knife for the antler, right? So you can go that route as well, right? So that nice pistol grip buoy that I made with the antler, I drew the knife from the antler and not the knife. And then I went and picked up the antler. Same thing with this last one that I made the leather sheath for. Nice straight handle. It deserves a nice long straight blade for that, you know. So everybody says, "Oh, the antler was made for the knife." It's the other way around. The knife was made for the antler.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have another piece sitting in the shop that I'm, filling up with the super glue to stabilize the inside, and I will draw something for that antler, not the other way around. So that is
Chris,
that
what
too.
were you going to say?
Hey, I was going to give you a Templar tip. This one comes from Sarah. She told me it's a kind of a best practice to always store your scales taped together with some painter's tape. I know I've seen Eric do it on his YouTube channel, and sometimes I don't like doing that. It's because hey, I've showed a customer, and then it's come over to the shop and I'm showing them a bunch of different ones. It's like, man, do I really have to tape all these up? But just because of temperature changes, even though it's stabilized, they're not always. Depending upon the wood, some of them don't stabilize as well as others, and especially if you've got different materials and with segmented, it can with temperature changes and changes in the humidity and everything, it can change a little bit. Yeah. Now, once you have it glued to a handle with pins, it's held in place. Right. But otherwise, this is
it
just
temperature or humidity?
Both.
It's humidity.
I think it's both.
I would tell you, I keep
it's also both, because I'll tell you, when I did that Damasteel knife, I actually attached the handles temporarily to the blade with some CA glue, just a couple tiny drops of CA glue, and then I shaped the handle, but I wanted to etch the knife to where the full tang was etched, right? So one of the tricks that I learned was to then take that knife, put it in the freezer, and leave it in there for just a couple minutes, and the CA glue actually will fail in the freezer. And so then you can come back and you can pop those handles off with just a little rubber mallet, just a couple taps, and boom, it'll pop right off. Well, I left that one in for just a little long, and one of those scales started to really bow out up at the bolster. Really start, because it was Juma, right, and wood on the back, and so it started to kind of bow out. And again, I did exactly what you said, Otis. Here, I took the two, put them together, clamped them together to where they're nice and flat, put them in the toaster oven for 20 minutes at about like 150, 170 degrees, and then taped them up and let them sit there and didn't touch them for like 3 days. Yeah. And when I was done, they were both perfectly flat.
I've got an old man Templar tip for you here.
Contracting at different rates.
For you guys that don't play guitars, if you go to your music store and you get a D'Addario humidity pack.
Did you say a Terrio?
D'Addario.
Oh, okay.
And you get a humidity pack. I've got $5,000 Gibson guitar, and I've got some other guitars that are not quite as expensive as that. But, the last thing you want is the back of your guitar splitting out or starting to affect the finish. They maintain a perfect 45% humidity for fine instruments in that wood, so it doesn't swell. It just maintains it. So I'll throw a pack in there, and they're good for a few months. And the way they're kind of they're in like a brown package. And when you squeeze them, they're smushy, like it's a gel inside. When they get hard, you throw them out and throw another pack in there. So that will maintain. It'll put moisture back in, take moisture out. Perfect 45% in your whatever you're storing them in. D'Addario humidity packs, music store.
Yeah. That's pretty cool, those Terrio music store packs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, Good idea. Hey, guys, we are rolling in on the 2 hour and 12-minute mark. And I tell you what, we have not been together for a while, so we had a lot to say today on this episode. Let's just shut her down with what we plan on doing over the next week or so. I know Easter's coming up this weekend. Probably got some knife making to do and other things. What you got going on, Otis, here?
Well, this weekend is my wife's birthday.
Happy birthday.
And we're going to be heading out to a Brazilian steakhouse called Shima's here in
Don't
Virginia.
go to the salad bar. Just wait for
Great
the meat.
Great all around steakhouse. If you ever find a Brazilian churrascaria, go for it. Usually what they have is a whole bunch of waiters running around with a whole lot of meat, and they come to your table and they cut it off hot off of the spit into your plate, and you eat as much as you can. And especially if you're a carnivore, highly recommend it.
Like Chip said, skip
Go
the
for it, my
salad
friend.
bar and pass on the chicken.
Yeah, if you're going to go to the salad bar,
Well,
just take a
I go
saucer
to the
with
salad bar and I grab one leaf of lettuce, okay, a little bit of spoon of rice and a little bit of spoon of beans, just to look like a civilized man. And I go to my table and wait for the waiters with my bring on the picanha, bring on
bring the
the
picanha.
filet, bring on the bacon wrapped chicken, and whatever
Yeah, you
else, my
can't beat
friend. I can taste
like
it
that.
already.
Hungry.
Mwah.
Chef kiss.
Chris, are you just going to sleep in this weekend, or
Magnificent.
what do you got going on?
No, well, like I said, tomorrow's my daughter's birthday.
That birthday
so we're
again.
gonna, celebrate that.
Yeah.
And
Happy birthday.
my wife's birthday was earlier this week, and so a lot of birthdays. But no,
Yeah.
I'm just going to hang out, spend some time with the family, and then I got a couple of customer orders that I had promised to get out this month that are needed for wedding gifts and whatnot. So I'll probably be working with that, and just kind of slowing down the pace a little bit from what I did leading up to the show, to where I'm probably only cranking out 3, maybe 4 knives a month. I say that, and then of course I'll pick up again, just because that's just the way I work. But no, it's I'm just gonna like I said, spend some family time this weekend, enjoy the Easter weekend.
You need to, while you're out shopping, look for a big chain to wear that medallion on you earned.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah.
Like some Flavor Flav.
Yeah, yeah.
Instead of 50 cent and
Very
100
proudly,
cent.
my friend.
I ended up with some neck issues. I'm telling you guys, that thing weighs a ton.
That's cool, man. I'm
Terrio, what's going on down in Louisiana, buddy?
I'll be pretty much doing like Chris, spending some good quality family time together with my family, and we'll be going to church to celebrate resurrection of Christ.
Amen.
Amen. And I've done profiled so many knives. I need to start finishing some of these since old Christopher there called me out, and so I need to finish these knives up so I can make it to the show. So, but I got quite a while, so I got till September. So
I think I'm going to try and make that show.
yeah, I'm gonna try to work on getting everything needed to do that, and that's pretty much
I
it.
saw guys at this past show, Joey, that had 6 knives on the table, right? And there are guys that had 40 knives on the table. J.W. Randall had 4 knives on the table, and 3 of them were already sold
Wow.
when he got there.
Wow.
Like, it's, but
I mean,
his
we
knives
all-
are,
yeah,
quite pricey.
we-
But, put something on the table, show people your work, and really what you get out of those shows is just the people that you meet.
Relationships,
and the
yeah.
relationships that you build, and the folks you can talk to and pick up, the tips and all that. That's what's worth it. So
Absolutely. Yep.
Eric, hopefully you're
forward
going
to
to
that.
take a break over Easter holiday and just kind of sit back with the family. No? doubt it.
No, not at all. I've got to get the roof off this shop and get the walls taken down, and so that I can get I'm gonna get a couple of estimates for the concrete, because I might be making the concrete area a little bit larger than what I originally thought. I originally was gonna do like a the overall concrete size was going to be like 16 by 16.
Yeah.
And now I'm thinking about doing a 16 by 24, and so that I can do the shop plus like an awning off the side of it, so that I have open space to work under, that's not inside the shop. So if I want to pull all my crap outside and be in shade,
or you want to
I
use
can do
Pinto
that.
Sauce, you can do that outside.
Right, and big old flames and whatnot. No. I'm planning on doing it that way, so I'm gonna have somebody come out and give me some estimates. But I need to get the shop down and all that. And I had a lot of people that were just saying, "Why didn't you just knock it over?" Well, I'm reusing as much of the 2x4s as possible. I mean, those are
gold.
Free lumber.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
So
Lumber's
I've already
expensive right now.
Yeah, and I've pulled the nails out of all of the 2x4s going around it, so that all I have to do is just finish popping the roof off, take everything down. It would be super fast. I could have demoed it in one day if I was just going to haul everything to the landfill, you know what I mean? But I'm trying to salvage as much things as possible so that, it maximizes the budget. But that, the Tonto, and then I've got a few batch-ish style knives that I need to get done for my website. And then it's just getting prepped for going to the Atlanta blade show. And I'm actually going to be driving there. So I'm going to drive from here to Atlanta, and instead of flying, because flying was going to cost like $1,000.
It's going to be about 14, 15 hours, isn't it?
To drive, it's 13.
Okay.
But if you fly, if it's just me by myself, it's $1,000, and then I got to do, $400 worth of hotel, and then Uber or rent a car, because I'll be there for 3 days. And
that's
it just
hard on a
made more
family,
sense.
man.
Well, I'll see you there because I'm only 3 hours from Atlanta. So
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I was gonna ask you that, man, because I've been
Where
planning
you
to
live,
go.
Chip?
I live just half hour. I live between Huntsville, Alabama, and Birmingham, Alabama, in a little town called Hartselle. So I'm about an hour from Birmingham, 30 minutes from Huntsville on I-65.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I can be over in downtown Atlanta in about 3 hours and 15 minutes.
That's not too bad.
Nashville in 2
Yeah.
hours. Joey's
we're
house
thinking
in
about
6
taking
hours.
It's
everybody.
about 8 hours drive for me.
Yeah.
You just head a little, Eric. You just head a little bit south. Joey and I'll drive up a little bit north. We'll meet you. The three of us jump in a car. We'll ride out there together.
Why can't
Hey,
I jump in?
I'm
Why can't I
taking-
jump in Birmingham?
Yeah, I mean,
It would be
Chris is
really
like
cool
a
if
3.5
y'all would
hours
make it
for
over
me.
there, man, because
Hey.
I'm planning to come. I'm planning
Why
to
can't
go
I get
there.
in
I'm down.
Birmingham, guys?
I'll bring my wife's
Yeah, Eric's
Odyssey.
got
We'll
a-
stop.
Hey.
We'll stop in Birmingham. Pick up Chip.
I'm just saying, I've got the Odyssey, and we'd sit back, relax, and chill. it would be perfectly fine. I have enough room for 8 people, so if I don't take the family, the funniest part about this is, for people who don't know what my main car that I just drive around, I've got my work truck, we got the Odyssey, and then I have my Porsche. And I'm probably going to take the Porsche because it gets like 28 miles a gallon on the highway. I'll be the only guy driving to a blade show and like a freaking Porsche.
What model?
What?
What model is it?
It's a Cayman S.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
And it's a fun car, but it's definitely it's not what you would go long distance traveling in, because it's lowered and it's got all the stuff. It's the loudest exhaust ever, and all that. But yeah, it's gonna be.
Let me tell you
funny.
something. You shall not pass.
no. But hey,
You won't get
a
out of
state
Maryland with
inspector.
your.
Hey,
What's that?
I'm a state inspector for the Texas, so I get to inspect my own vehicles.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, don't
do
drive
all
through
the
Maryland. You'll
inspections.
end up without leaf springs. But so
I
I've
swore I had leaf springs whenever I was when I pulled.
ride.
You
What a
shall
ride.
not pass.
So yeah, I've got these 5, maybe a 6 knife tomorrow that I'll be working on, and I want to get these little flushers all done so I can move on. I can't. I'm not sick of making them. It's just I needed some variety. That's why I cut out a couple bigger
Man.
knives. So I'm kind of like you, Eric. I may be wrong here when I said that, but I don't really want to be in a position where I'm having to sit and produce things to build up some stock. I just want to make what I want to make, and if people want it, they
Yeah.
want it. If they don't, they don't. But since I made promises, and I'm really enjoying making these for the people I am, that is the great part of it. I just want to get them done, and a lot of it may be just I'm getting tired of matching up antler with blades, because it's so easy to take other scales and just slap them on there and make them look great. But antler takes quite a bit more thought, and each particular piece has its own little issues with it. So, but hey guys, we've been on here. We're going about 2 hours and 15 minutes into this, so I'm sure we've taken some people on a nice journey today. I've enjoyed spending time. It's good to have everybody back together. Congrats on the recognition, Chris and Eric. Your current build as well as your current building is going well. Enjoying those videos, Joey. Out there on Instagram, your knives are looking great. Same for you, Otisir. And we look forward to you hearing us again on the next Knife Templars podcast. Have a great one.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed.